Chapter 43-39. As a boxing master, Lu Hai's strength was indeed top-notch. At the very least, everyone could feel the difference. To be able to become a boxing master of the mighty martial arts club, it was indeed a bit different. Xiaolin also had a feeling of fighting. Although the time it took to fight was not very long, these disciples of the mighty martial arts club were still effective as sandbags. At the very least, it allowed Xiaolin to maintain a very good state of mind. Even though Lu Hai's attack seemed to be menacing, Xiaolin still easily resolved it. With a flick of her left and right hands, she swept Lu Hai's hands. Fist Master Lu Hai was just a grandmaster. The strength of the early stage of the grandmaster was indeed quite famous in the mighty martial arts club, but after facing Xiaolin, it was indeed a bit too far off. Lu Hai felt as if his hands were being pricked by needles, and a huge force surged over, almost causing him to lose his balance. How can there be such a great power? Lu Hai's heart sank. His fist technique was also big and wide, but it was actually not as strong as his opponent. Could it be that this guy was also a grandmaster expert? Lu Hai's heart sank once again. If that was really the case, then it would be really troublesome. Lu Hai really didn't want to fight against a grandmaster, especially this grandmaster, who he couldn't see through. This was the worst thing. Xiaolin's one move caused Lu Hai to suffer a loss, and she directly took advantage of him. Her hands were like meteors, and palm after palm followed. With this slap, Lu Hai felt that something was amiss. A wave of feminine energy actually bombarded his body. Lu Hai took a few steps back, and every step caused his blood to churn. With a wah sound, he sat on the ground. Isn't he Lu Hai's boxing master? How could he be defeated by a girl? Damn, how could there be such a powerful expert? She's definitely a heroine. No wonder she dared to beat up the people of the mighty martial arts club. Lu Hai, this time it's really embarrassing. So many people can't even catch a girl. Now you'll be famous in South Asia. There were indeed many people present who knew Lu Hai. As a fist master, who asked the fame of the Might Jin Dojo to be so great, it was hard for them not to know him. So you're not as strong as I thought. This fist technique looks like a flowery fist. It's too slow. It's not satisfying at all. Xiaolin looked down on this Lu Hai fist master. Lin Fei, who was standing at the side, didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He was just a grandmaster, but he was a Xiantian master. How could he be a match for you? Fist Master Lu Hai spat out another mouthful of blood. He was a grandmaster, yet a girl dared to insult him in such a manner. If you don't feel satisfied, why don't you go to the Wei Jin Dojo to take a look? In any case, there are a lot of people there, and it just so happens that Lu Hai is still there. Let him lead the way. Lin Fei laughed. Charlene's eyes sparkled. Really? The current Xiaolin was also fearless. Most importantly, she had Lin Fei by her side. Wei Jin Dojo was nothing to be afraid of. On the other hand, Lu Hai, who was lying on the ground, couldn't believe it. This girl still dared to go to the Wei Jin Dojo. Did she really not know the reputation of the Wei Jin Dojo? In this Yu province, in this South Asia, the Wei Jin Dojo was the top dojo. Who wouldn't be polite to the Wei Jin Dojo? It wasn't like what the two of them had said. They didn't take the Wei Jin Dojo seriously at all. We have a lot of experts for the Wei Jin Dojo. If you dare to come, I'll lead the way for you. Lu Hai naturally couldn't beat this girl. However, there were still many experts in the Wei Jin Dojo. Did you see that? They've already invited you, so why don't you go to the Wei Jin Dojo and take a seat? Lin Fei said. Why aren't you guys helping me up yet? Lu Hai shouted. The disciples of the Wei Jin Dojo immediately helped Lu Hai up. Although Xiaolin didn't use a lot of strength just now, she was still a Xiantian master after all. It wasn't something that Lu Hai could handle, so he could only let the students support him. Originally, everyone thought that this matter would end like this, but they never thought that this girl called Xiaolin would actually want to go to the Wei Jin Dojo. Wasn't this the same as going to the dojo? This was absolutely unbelievable. A big dojo like the Wei Jin Dojo would actually be kicked out one day. It was a pity that they didn't dare to go and take a look. If they were to be hated by the Wei Jin Dojo, then they would really be in trouble. The Wei Jin Dojo was located in the center of a busy city in South Asia. It occupied a very large area, and all 7 floors belonged to the Wei Jin Dojo. It was an office building. Compared to the other dojos, this was obviously much higher. At this time, the Wei Jin Dojo was very lively. The students were all learning. Lu Hai returned. The person at the front desk was shocked to see Lu Hai bleeding. He immediately came up. Lu Hai, what happened to you? Who injured you? Do you want us to call for an expert to help you get back at them? Lu Hai shook his head. No need, they are already here. The person at the front desk really didn't see anyone. However, he did notice a man and a woman. Both of them had an extremely indifferent look on their faces. Could it be them? Lu Hai turned around and said, "This is our prestige dojo. The experts inside are not people you can afford to offend." The news of Lu Hai being injured outside and someone coming to the Might-Jin dojo to spar spread like wildfire. At the very least, the boxing masters of the prestige dojo were furious. Although they did not treat Lu Hai as a fist master very well, they were still colleagues. Hitting Lu Hai was equivalent to hitting the Might-Jin dojo. If they didn't make a move, then their prestige dojo would become a joke. Therefore, the boxing masters came out one by one. These boxing masters were not weak. Basically, all of them were at least at the grandmaster level. 2 or 3 of them were the most powerful. This was because they were all Xiantian experts. One was at the early Xiantian stage, one was at the middle Xiantian stage, and the last one was at the late Xiantian stage. As soon as the 3 of them came out, the crowd quietened down. They were the most qualified experts in the prestige martial arts school. He was also the person who usually oversaw the dojo. When they heard that Lu Hai had been injured by someone, and that it was a man and a woman, they were naturally moved. Although Lu Hai's strength was average, he still represented the face of the martial arts club. When the 3 of them came out, their gazes immediately landed on Xia Lin. They felt that this Xia Lin should be the one who did it. The other party had an aura that was very similar to theirs, and they were very surprised. A female pre-celestial stage expert, but they had never heard of any female pre-celestial stage expert appearing recently. No matter what, since he was already here, he had to spar with him, so that the other party would know the ability of the Might-Jin dojo. He couldn't lose face. Otherwise, he would be laughed at. Chapter 43-40. Facing these 3 pre-celestial stage experts, Xia Lin was still a little pressured. After all, Lu Hai's strength was not that great, but these 3 were truly experts in charge. It could be seen from their every move. Therefore, Xia Lin was still a little pressured. This was the first time she had faced such a powerful opponent. Subconsciously, she had already treated them as on the same level. Lu Hai did not have the qualifications to do so. Xia Lin took a deep breath. Your Wei Jin dojo is really not that great, a group of men bullying a woman like me, you are clearly drunk, yet you still want to bring me away. I really want to ask, is this how your Wei Jin dojo bullies people? Xia Lin was also very smart, she knew how to gain the upper hand. In any case, she was in the right, and these people couldn't beat her in words. Lin Fei, who was standing at the side, nodded slightly. He was very satisfied. At the very least, Xia Lin knew that she had the advantage of taking the initiative. These 3 pre-celestial stage experts were naturally a head shorter. This was a clash of auras. Xia Lin had indeed taught herself, which was worth praising. Why did Lin Fei let Xia Lin come to this dojo? It was to let Xia Lin have a better chance to experience these pre-celestial stage experts. A free sandbag like this was really not easy to find. Although the strength of these 3 people was not bad, if they were to really fight with Xia Lin, it would not be so easy to win. And to Xia Lin, these 3 pre-celestial stage experts were really very suitable. This time, he had really come to the right place. The Wei Jin Dojo had really become a good person for once. Of course, Lin Fei would not tell Xiaolin about this. Just as Lu Hai was about to say something, the three experts glared at him and retreated a few steps. Lu Hai, don't you think that's the case? The leftmost early-stage pre-celestial stage expert said with an ice-cold gaze. Lu Hai secretly cursed in his heart. Although he knew that their Wei Jin Dojo was very powerful, this time, they truly could not stand on their own 2 feet. A group of drunk people surrounded a girl, and in the end, they were beaten by the girl. In the end, he went up to help, but in the end, he was also beaten. This was not right, and it was no wonder that he was so angry. Look, he can't even speak. Your Wei Jin Dojo might be famous, but you don't have any basic principles. It really disappoints me. So today, I want to learn from you. I want to see why your Wei Jin Dojo dares to bully weak women like us. Don't think that weak women are easy to bully. Charlene once again gained the upper hand with a show of strength. The faces of the members of the Wei Jin Martial Arts School and the students turned ugly. If it was a man who came, perhaps it would be fine, but it was a woman, which made them feel a little embarrassed. However, the words that the other party said seemed to be reasonable, because Lu Hai did not dare to say anything more. It was obvious that he had suffered a loss. Why don't we start with you? Charlene pointed at the Khanate expert on her left. Of course, the 3 of you can come at me together. Although I, Charlene, am a weak woman, I will receive as many as you come. I think it's impossible for the 3 of you to come at me together, right? Who said that Charlene wasn't smart? She was still quite smart. At the very least, he had to use words to stop these 3 great experts. From the moment these 3 great experts came out, Charlene could tell that they were the leaders of this dojo. Everyone looked at them with respect and worship in their eyes. Therefore, if he used words to suppress them, then things would be simple. As for the others, Charlene really did not care much about them, especially after defeating Lu Hai. He knew that the majority of the experts in the Wei Jin Dojo should be at the same level as Lu Hai, and only the 3 in front of him were the most powerful, so he had a chance to defeat all of them. I am Fist Master Su Wen of the Wei Jin Dojo. Su Wen stood up and said coldly, although our dojo did something wrong, since you came to us to spar, we will definitely accompany you to the end. At this time, they naturally wouldn't lose face so easily. No matter what happened, at the very least, they had to fight first. They could also tell that Charlene should be at the same level as them. As for the one beside her, they directly ignored her. They had to defeat this person first to protect the reputation of the Wei Jin Dojo. There are too many people here, why don't we change places? Su Wen said. Charlene shook her head. No need, let's change places. It's boring, why don't we do it here? Everyone can see clearly, if I lose, I will leave immediately, but if you lose, then I will not stand on ceremony and take down your plaque, because your Wei Jin Dojo is not worthy of the 3 words Wei Jin Dojo. As soon as Charlene's words fell, the 3 Xiantian experts were instantly enraged, and their gazes turned ugly. This plaque was the face of their Wei Jin Dojo. This plaque was even personally copied by a great expert. If it were to be taken away, then their Wei Jin Dojo would become a big joke in the circle. What a girl! You're young, but your tone is quite arrogant. Let me try you. Su Wen snorted coldly and pounced forward. The moment Su Wen pounced, he instantly felt that his entire person had changed. Like a leopard, he was very slippery. In fact, Su Wen was indeed using the movement technique of a leopard. This was something he had figured out himself, and it was very useful when fighting against an enemy. Charlene felt that this pounce was a little unusual. She subconsciously took a step back. This caused Su Wen to laugh. He could tell that this girl called Xiaolin seemed to be a newcomer. People like her were really easy to deal with. Lin Fei watched from the side and didn't intend to make a move. Although Su Wen's movement technique was quite powerful, Charlene just hadn't fought with him before. He wanted to see how Charlene would deal with this situation. Charlene's retreat gave the other party a great opportunity to make a move. Several claw marks came directly at him. A strong gust of wind swept past Xiaolin. Although Charlene was a little flustered, she still spread her hands apart, one to block and one to retreat. Her palm technique was very top-notch and wasn't something that ordinary palm techniques could compare to. With a single clash, she really managed to resolve the other party's attack. On the other hand, Suwon was slightly taken aback because his opponent's palm technique seemed a little unusual. It actually made him feel a little threatened. Luckily, Suwon was confident that he wouldn't lose to this girl. He attacked again. Charlene retreated. Charlene retreated. Chapter 43-41. Suwon was indeed a powerful expert. After facing Xiaolin, he really couldn't find a chance. Instead, he was the one who was injured. This made him cry out in surprise. This was different from what he had imagined. In the end, after being attacked by Xiaolin a dozen times in a row, he was sent flying with one palm. The more Xiaolin fought, the more she felt it. Lin Fei, who was standing at the side, knew that Xiaolin was improving. Using a pre-celestial stage expert to hone his experience was quite fast. At the very least, it wasn't something that Lu Hai could compare to. The expressions of the other two pre-celestial stage experts changed as well. They didn't expect Suwon to be defeated by this girl. The other party relied on pure palm technique. Suwon was sent flying, and his chi and blood surged for a moment before he was able to suppress it. His expression darkened, and he didn't know what to say for a moment. As a pre-celestial stage expert, he actually couldn't beat a girl. This made him feel a little embarrassed. In front of so many people, he didn't dare to make a move again. Otherwise, he would really be ridiculed. Now it's your turn. I hope you don't disappoint me. Xiaolin felt something from the fight. After laughing, she actually took the initiative to pounce towards the two pre-celestial stage experts. She also wanted to give herself some pressure, because in a one-on-one fight, Xiaolin really didn't feel any pressure from Suwon. This kind of improvement, Lin Fei could see it the most clearly. Even if Xiaolin were to face two pre-celestial stage experts at once, Lin Fei wouldn't be too worried. He was protecting her from the side. If there was any danger, he would protect her. The two pre-celestial stage experts were still wondering who would go first. However, they didn't expect Xiaolin to attack first. Without any hesitation, the two of them immediately counterattacked. On the contrary, the students present were a little surprised. Everyone knew that these three boxing masters were very powerful. Only now did they realize that the strength of these three people was even more terrifying than they had imagined. Of course, what surprised them even more was that this beautiful woman actually had a good set of martial arts. She was even able to fight with the three of them for so long. They couldn't help but reveal a trace of envy and jealousy. When would they be able to reach this level? As for Lu Hai, he also knew that he was in big trouble. Originally, they had actually met a great expert, and even Fist Master Suwon was defeated. If the remaining two masters in charge were to lose as well, then the signboard of the mighty martial arts club would be taken away, and as the instigator of this matter, Lu Hai would definitely be in big trouble. Lu Hai was wondering if he should run away or not. Fortunately, when the two Xiantian experts attacked, Charlene felt immense pressure and was flustered. Of course, that was all because Charlene was learning as she fought. Although he was in a sorry state, his experience was increasing rapidly. The two experts were only focused on defeating him. But as the fight went on, something went wrong. Because Xiaolin, who was in a sorry state at the start, actually fought with great vigor, their eyes were filled with shock. However, a thought popped up in their minds. Someone was using them as a punching bag. The current Charlene was completely different from when they first met. They felt even more embarrassed. They were dignified Xiantian experts, yet they were being used as punching bags. The more Charlene fought, the more energetic she became. She had gradually grasped the essence of this palm technique. She also knew how to fight, and her heart was filled with ecstasy. Thank you for your guidance, now it's my turn. Charlene laughed loudly. The palm technique in her hands flew like a cloud, it continuously enveloped the two of them. Originally, Charlene was stronger than them, her accumulation was deeper, but her experience was like that of a rookie. But now she, the rookie, had finally grown up. Sometimes it was so convenient to improve in battle. After dozens of palm strikes, Charlene used one of the killer moves of the palm technique. Dozens of palms turned into one, catching them off guard and directly sending them flying. The hard ground was also stepped on by more than 10 footprints, causing everyone's scalp to go numb. If this were to step on a person's body, then there would be no need to live at all. Thank you for letting me win. Charlene also cupped her hands in a dignified manner. The three Xiantian experts all lowered their heads, feeling extremely unreconciled. They didn't expect that they would be defeated by a girl one day. The other party's palm technique was very brilliant, and they couldn't find any flaws at all. If the three of them were to attack together, they were quite confident that they could defeat this girl. At this moment, they were a little regretful. Why didn't they attack directly from the start, and instead helped the other party? It was obvious that the other party was using them as a punching bag to increase her battle experience, and they couldn't even see through it. What a great Xiantian expert! How dare you come to our Weizhen martial arts dojo and behave atrociously? I wonder if you have asked for my permission. A cold voice came from the door. Charlene just turned around, and her body trembled slightly. Fortunately, Lin Fei stepped forward and hugged Charlene. I don't think you're a good person. Aren't you also bullying the weak? I really despise you. The other party's expression changed slightly, and his foot that was originally moving forward stopped. His gaze fell directly on Lin Fei. The three Xiantian experts saw the middle-aged man and said in unison, Curator! Curator? The students of Weizhen Martial Arts Dojo were also shocked. One had to know that the curator of their Weizhen Martial Arts Dojo had always been a mysterious person, and even now, only a handful of people had seen the curator. They didn't expect the curator to actually come, and it seemed that this curator was a true expert. The two of you are very strong, why don't you sit down and have a chat? The middle-aged man laughed. Lin Fei said indifferently, There's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about with people like you who bully the weak. You should be glad that you didn't go all out, or else you wouldn't be qualified to stand here now. The middle-aged man was indeed the curator of Weizhen Martial Arts Dojo. He rarely came here, but sometimes when he was in a good mood, he would come to the dojo to see if there were any good seedlings. He didn't expect to suffer a loss today, and there was actually a great expert here. This great expert seemed to have brought a disciple with him, and they fought the Weizhen Martial Arts Dojo. That was why he said that and added a mental strength attack. He didn't expect that this seemingly ordinary young man was quite strong and unknowingly injured him. The other party used the same mental strength, but it seemed to be of a higher level. He couldn't resist at all, and it was because the other party showed mercy. That was why the curator said that. For a person whose strength couldn't be seen through, it was very likely that he was on the same level as him. If they were to fight, there was no chance of winning at all. Chapter 43-42. Although the curator didn't make a move, the other party's mental means made him realize how terrifying the other party was. At the very least, when they really fought, this invisible means made him fearful. He was sure that this young man wasn't from Yu Province, nor was he from South Asia. Fortunately, the other party didn't make a move, which made the curator heave a sigh of relief. At this time, he really didn't want to make a move. My friend just said that your martial arts school is bullying the weak with numbers, so we came to find you. Do you have any objections? If you do, you can tell me. Since Xia Lin was going to take the plaque away, then why would she take it away? Then, Lin Fei would naturally fulfill Xia Lin's wish. After all, this was the first stop of the summer camp. Therefore, this plaque had to be taken away. The 3 Xiantian masters lowered their heads one by one. After all, they lost to Xiaolin before, but they didn't agree to give the plaque away. But now, the other party was stronger than them. Just like the invisible confrontation between the curator and this young man, they more or less had some eyesight. At the same time, they were shocked. They didn't see through this young man's strength and thought that he was an ordinary person. This was the true meaning of hiding one's strength. The curator's face was a little ugly. This plaque was passed down with great difficulty. If it was taken away, it would really become a joke. One must know that there were still many students in the Weizhen martial arts school. If this plaque was taken away, the school would become a joke in Yu province. They wouldn't even be able to raise their heads in the circle. Who knew how many people wanted to see the Weizhen martial arts school become a joke? Friend, you are going too far. Although our Weizhen martial arts school is in the wrong, this thing is only said by you alone. There is no evidence. Who would believe you? Originally, you planned to let us go, but if you take away this plaque, then you are bullying our Weizhen martial arts school. In that case, you don't intend to let us take away the plaque. Then let me see how much confidence you have to say such words to me. Lin Fei smiled and took the first step. The curator groaned, as if he had suffered a huge blow. Then, Lin Fei took the second step. The curator took 3 steps back. When Lin Fei took his third step, the curator staggered 8 steps backward, and the blood in his body churned so violently that he almost vomited blood. In the end, he forced himself to hold it in. He knew that once he spat it out, he would be injured. He could not suppress his injury at all. He had never thought that this person would be able to severely injure him in just 3 steps. One had to know that he was a qi refinement expert. Although he hadn't been in the qi refinement realm for long, only 5 years, it was still a high level of qi refinement. He was in charge of the mighty martial arts school, just to look for those monstrous disciples. But now, he was actually injured, and so seriously injured. Wait. The curator raised his hand to block the attack. He knew that if he didn't open his mouth and the other party took another step forward, he would be completely humiliated. Even now, he forcefully swallowed that mouthful of qi and blood. Only by doing so would he not appear to be in such a sorry state. Now that you've thought it through, I thought you would struggle to the end. Why don't I send you one more step? Lin Fei said with a smile. At this time, the curator did not dare to take another step. If he took another step, it would definitely be over. Take this plaque. Our mighty martial arts school has made a mistake. The curator was also straightforward. He also knew that if he did not go along with the other party's idea, today's matter would not end so easily. At the very least, he, the curator, would have to suffer a lot. In his heart, he was cursing the people of the mighty martial arts school half to death. Of all people to offend, they had to offend such an expert. At this time, his mind was almost searching for which force could produce such a young expert. However, such an expert seemed to be unknown. This was the most frightening thing. If he was a disciple of a Ji Zun, that would be the most troublesome. Looking at the other party's young appearance, the possibility was very high. No matter what, he had to get through this first. As for the rest, he would take it one step at a time. They were not that easy to bully. Couldn't you have just said that from the beginning? Why did you have to suffer? Lin Fei snorted softly. The curator took another step back, and almost couldn't hold it in any more. Xiaolin happily jumped 3 feet into the air and kicked down the Might Shakes the Dojo signboard. You don't say. This plaque is very good. When you feel that you have the ability to take back this plaque, I am from East China Sea. You can come to East China Sea to find me, Lin Fei of Longting Villa. Lin Fei and Xiaolin left with the plaque of the mighty martial arts school. The atmosphere of the entire mighty martial arts school became quite different. All of you come in. The curator's face darkened. He coldly snorted and walked into his office. After entering, he spat out 7 or 8 mouthfuls of blood. Every mouthful made his face pale. He quickly took out a pill and swallowed it. What the hell, I actually encountered such an opponent. I almost couldn't hold it in. The curator was glad that his strength was not bad and did not make a fool of himself. Although his face was a little embarrassed, only a few people saw the confrontation between the two. As for the others, they didn't feel anything at all, because their level hadn't reached that level yet. After taking the pill, his face became much more comfortable. However, he also took out his phone at the first moment. He wanted to know the background of this Lin Fei of Longting Villa. He actually dared to take away the plaque of the mighty martial arts school from them. If he didn't vent his anger, then what face would the mighty martial arts school have? However, after making 7 or 8 calls in a row, the curator's face changed again. Because from these calls, he got a piece of news. That was that Lin Fei of Longting Villa was unfathomable and very mysterious. If only one person said so, he might not take it seriously. However, everyone basically said so the curator had no choice but to take it seriously. It seems that I can only go to them. After all, the plaque of the mighty martial arts school is not so easy to take away. This represents our honor. After calming down, the curator knew what to do. The 3 experts, including Lu Hai, all came in. Of course, they were also scolded. Of course, if he wanted to vent his anger, he would have to vent it on them first. Chapter 43-43. What do you think, heroine? You should be happy today. The Wei Jin Dojo's plaque has been taken away by us. I guess they'll be depressed for a long time. Lin Fei and Charlene returned to the suite. Lin Fei casually placed the plaque in the corner. This plaque still had some value. After all, there was still a trace of spiritual power left on the Wei Jin Dojo. In other words, it was left behind by a spiritual power expert. Charlene also felt that tonight was very exciting. She never thought that the world of martial artists was so exciting. Charlene actually became an expert for once. Thank you, Brother Lin. If it was you, I really wouldn't have been able to beat them today. Lin Fei said with a smile. Actually, you're very smart yourself. As long as you learn and comprehend more, you'll naturally improve. I'll take this plaque away. Anyway, it's useless for you to keep it. As for what you do in South Asia in the future, just be careful. Charlene nodded. I'll definitely be careful. I'm also an expert now. Charlene clenched her fists tightly. Lin Fei also knew Charlene's strength very well. She was still able to do well in South Asia. There was one more thing, and that was that Lin Fei had to make a trip to the Wei Jin Dojo. Originally, if Charlene wasn't in South Asia, Lin Fei wouldn't have minded. However, once he left, who knew if the Wei Jin Dojo would do anything else? Hence, after Charlene fell asleep, Lin Fei left the suite and went straight to the Wei Jin Dojo. He left a trace of divine sense on the curator. Lin Fei could easily find out where the curator was. The curator didn't leave the Wei Jin Dojo. Today was a very bad day for the Wei Jin Dojo. Because their plaque had been taken away, the news had already spread in the circle. The Wei Jin Martial Arts School had lost all its face. Those in the same industry would definitely take this opportunity to smear the Wei Jin Dojo. Who would dare to say that the Wei Jin Dojo was strong? Didn't they see that their plaque had been taken away? At that time, 1 would spread to 10 and 10 to 100. Everyone would know that the Prestige Dojo was in trouble. The curator scolded Lu Hai and the others. As for those troublemakers, they were all chased out of the Might Jin Dojo, and even the little bit of strength they had was taken back. What awaited them would be an extremely painful price. As for Lu Hai, as a grandmaster, he had also taken 3 punches from the curator and would have to lie in the hospital for more than half a year. Even so, the curator's temper did not subside. He had also found someone to understand the situation. That person was indeed not someone he could deal with in a short period of time, so he just sat there sulking. He even opened a bottle of good wine that he usually couldn't bear to drink. He could only drink to drown his sorrows. You're drinking alone in the middle of the night? You're quite an interesting person. Lin Fei entered the curator's room. The curator was drinking silently and didn't even have a row of peanuts in front of him. When he heard the voice, he swung his hand and a string of things flew out. When these things flew in front of Lin Fei, they all stopped, as if they were blocked by a layer of power. Don't have such a bad temper. It wasn't easy for me to come here, not to fight with you. Besides, can you really beat me? The curator looked up and finally recognized him. Wasn't this the guy who left at night? He actually came back. What do you want? Don't think that our Meijin dojo is so easy to bully. Our backer is the Kunlun's secret realm. Alright, stop talking. I'm not interested in the Kunlun's secret realm. I came here in the middle of the night just to give you a few words of advice. Let's see if you want to listen or not. Advice? Of course, the curator didn't want to hear it, but now that the other party was standing here, coupled with the fact that the other party had a higher level of mental power attack than his expression turned cold. I'd like to hear what advice you can give our Meijin dojo. The curator was actually very timid. He really didn't want to fight with the other party. There was really no chance of winning. Instead, he would have to suffer. He was a chi refinement expert. This was the real tragedy. Fortunately, there was no one around at this time. If he was timid, then so be it. No one would know anyway. The curator comforted himself. My friend is going to be in South Asia for a period of time. I know that your Meijin dojo is quite capable, but if you have any ideas about my friend, I don't mind slaughtering your Meijin dojo. When the time comes, the officials will only think that it was an accident. He was threatened. The curator slammed his palm on the table. How dare you? At first, he thought it was some kind of advice. He didn't expect it to be a disguised threat. He had been the curator for so long, but he had never heard such words before. It seems that you still don't intend to listen to my advice. That's fine. Slap yourself 10 times first. Lin Fei sat down on the sofa and casually grabbed the bottle of red wine. You really know how to enjoy yourself. This bottle of red wine is not bad. It has a history of 40 to 50 years. Lin Fei took a wine glass, poured himself half a glass, and slowly took a sip. When the curator heard the other party's words, his expression changed. Then, he realized that he couldn't move at all. He raised his left hand slowly and slapped it across his face. The strength of this slap was so shocking that it almost knocked him over. However, he didn't move at all. It was as if his feet had grown roots. His right hand also followed suit. Another slap landed on his face. His face was instantly burning hot. Slap, 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 slap. A slap left, a slap right, a slap right, a slap left. After 10 slaps, the curator was a little stunned. He was actually controlled by someone and couldn't even resist at all. He was a chi refinement expert. It seems that 10 slaps don't feel much. Then, 100 slaps it is. Anyway, I have plenty of time tonight. I'll slowly waste it with you. Lin Fei smiled and took another sip of red wine. The curator wanted to speak, but found that he couldn't speak. His left and right hands started working again. A very rhythmic sound rose and fell in the room. Fortunately, there was no one around at this time. In addition, the curator's temper wasn't good today. Even if someone from the Weijin dojo heard the sound, they wouldn't come over. No one wanted to go in and be some punching bag. The curator could only watch helplessly as he slapped himself 100 times. After these 100 slaps, his entire face became swollen like a pig's head. Stop. I accept this advice. As long as your friend is in South Asia, the Weijin dojo won't cause any trouble for her. Lin Fei shook his head. No, you misunderstood. What I mean is, if anything happens to my friend in South Asia, then I'll look for you, the curator. The next time, it won't be as simple as 100 slaps. I'll stab you 100 times. I think with your physique, you should be able to withstand these 100 stabs. Remember the mobile website. Chapter 43-44. Lin Fei didn't plan to do anything to this curator. He just came to remind this curator not to forget what he should do when the time comes. Fortunately, this curator was smart and knew what to do. Otherwise, he would have stabbed himself 100 times. This was something he didn't want to encounter even once in his life. After that, Charlene didn't encounter any danger in South Asia. Instead, she helped Wei Zhen Dojo several times, but she didn't know. After staying in South Asia for a few more days, Lin Fei finally left South Asia and returned to Longting Villa in the East Sea. Longting Villa was as before, nothing happened. After all, Lin Fei was famous enough now. After understanding the situation a little, Lin Fei went to Beijing. 2 of the 4 kings also came to Beijing in advance, and were stationed in the courtyard. With them staying here, Lin Fei was completely relieved. At least he wouldn't have to worry about any accidents. These 2 were real qi refinement experts. Their strength was definitely enough to dominate everything. As for Yi Zixuan and Yi Xian, they didn't come out of the Divine Dragon's secret realm. Obviously, they were still cultivating in seclusion. Lin Fei wasn't very surprised about this. He believed that their strength would improve a lot after coming out of seclusion. After understanding the situation a little, Lin Fei left. He was going to Kunlun's secret realm to understand the situation. After all, from the information in those sacred grounds, there was still a big secret hidden in Kunlun's secret realm. It was just that the clues Lin Fei got were too few. But this didn't stop Lin Fei from making a trip to Kunlun's secret realm. Last time he went to Danding Gate, so this time he would go to the other sects to understand more. Of course, he would also greet the 6 Supremes. If he could meet Ancestor Qian Mo again, that would be even better. That guy was definitely sinister enough to actually attract experts to enter the sacred grounds. Unfortunately, Lin Fei set up a big formation 1 step ahead. At this time, Lin Fei didn't know that Ancestor Qian Mo was unlucky enough to meet the returning Supremes. As a result, he fled in a sorry state and was chased for a few days. It could be said to be a big joke. The only entrance in the country was on Mount Kunlun. Lin Fei already had the exact information, so as long as they reached Kunlun Mountain, they would be able to find the entrance. Actually, Lin Fei could enter the Kunlun mystic realm from Thailand. However, after thinking about it, Lin Fei felt that it would be too troublesome. He might as well enter from the entrance of the Kunlun mystic realm. It would save him a lot of trouble. This time, Lin Fei took his time to go to Kunlun Mountain. After 3 days, he finally arrived at the foot of Kunlun Mountain. Compared to other scenic spots, the Kunlun Mountains were much more deserted. Plus, the terrain was high. Lin Fei did not see many tourists. Of course, Lin Fei did not want too many tourists to notice him. In a deserted place, Lin Fei began to move quickly toward Kunlun Mountain. Kunlun Mountain was very large, but the place Lin Fei went to was very remote. If it wasn't for the information he got from the information, he really wouldn't know that there was such an entrance. After traveling for more than half a day, Lin Fei finally arrived at the peak of Kunlun Mountain. The peak was very cold and the temperature was very low. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to withstand it. However, when Lin Fei came up, he realized that there was actually someone moving quickly toward the entrance of the Kunlun mystic realm. It was a young expert who should be at the inborn realm. He did not notice Lin Fei's traces. Instead, he kept running toward an inconspicuous place. Initially, Lin Fei thought that he was the only one who entered the Kunlun mystic realm. But now, it seemed that he was not the only one who entered the Kunlun mystic realm. Those who knew about this entrance were definitely not simple. They might even have a force behind them. Therefore, Lin Fei followed him without batting an eye. He decided to observe the situation first. That person's speed was very fast, especially when it came to movement technique. Not long after, he passed through a barrier. This barrier was very inconspicuous. It was located outside the cliff. In such a position, even if someone came up, they wouldn't dare to rush over easily. Everyone knew that this was a barrier. Such a door was indeed very well hidden. However, Lin Fei could tell that this was a concealment formation. Those who were blocking it were all below the inborn realm. If one wasn't at the inborn realm, they wouldn't be able to tell. Unless one was lucky and accidentally bumped into it, no one would be willing to jump down from here. Lin Fei followed, and the entire field of vision widened. Unknowingly, he entered the Kunlun mystic realm. He found himself in a small underground palace. After getting used to the weak spiritual energy outside, he entered the mystic realm again. The spiritual energy here was indeed rather good. However, it was still lacking compared to the divine dragon mystic realm. Although this wasn't the first time Lin Fei came to the Kunlun mystic realm. Compared to the previous time, it seemed a little different this time. Underground palace? Who are you? Why are you following me sneakily? Just as Lin Fei landed, a figure came up and dozens of palm shadows shrouded him. This person was very strong. However, when these palm techniques landed on Lin Fei, they were blocked by a layer of ripples. I'm not interested in following you. I just want to know where this Kunlun mystic realm is. What do you think? Lin Fei said unhurriedly. However, the person who attacked him had a change in expression. His palm technique could split rocks. It was also filled with a gentle force. Every time he used it, it would have an unexpected effect. However, this young man was actually fine. This made him realize that he was in trouble. This person was definitely an expert, much stronger than he had imagined. He was already an inborn realm expert. If he couldn't even touch the other party's clothes, wouldn't this person be a chi-cultivating realm expert? Luo Yuan, you finally came back. Not bad. You brought an expert with you. However, even if you brought a helper back, so what? You still have to make a trip to the Wind Cloud Hall. At this moment, dozens of figures dashed into the underground palace. Naturally, the leader's gaze was fixed on Luo Yuan. As for Lin Fei, he was completely ignored. The strength of these people was quite good. Lin Fei could tell with a glance. This was a decent force. As for Luo Yuan, although he was an inborn realm expert, the leader's strength was comparable to his. In fact, the leader was much stronger. There were a few inborn realm experts under him. No matter how he looked at it, the situation didn't seem right. When Luo Yuan saw this person, his expression changed slightly. He subconsciously wanted to retreat. Luo Yuan, I advise you not to leave. If you leave today, your family will be finished. I'll say it again. Make a trip to the Wind Cloud Hall. Chapter 43-45. Lin Fei did not expect to encounter such a situation on his second visit to the Kunlun Mystery Land. He was even misunderstood as a helper. He did not know whether to laugh or cry. Under normal circumstances, Lin Fei would definitely explain himself. However, he could not be bothered to explain himself now. He could also take the opportunity to see what Luo Yuan had done to deserve the attention of so many Xiantian experts. After being targeted by so many people, Luo Yuan's heart sank. He had been very careful in everything he did. Unexpectedly, he was still targeted. Moreover, there were so many experts here. This was hard for him to accept. Luo Yuan said in a deep voice, Ding Shi, it's not a problem for you to bring me away. However, I feel that you should not make things difficult for this person. He is not my helper. Rather, we entered this place at the same time. I believe that you are not willing to offend others, right? Initially, Luo Yuan had thought that he was being followed. Only now did he realize that this person was not following him. Instead, he had entered the Kunlun Mystery Land. In other words, they had entered at the same time. The expert named Ding Shi laughed out loud. Luo Yuan, since when did you become so kind? You are actually speaking up for him. It would have been fine if you had not said anything. However, now that you have said that, I have no intention of letting him go. Luo Yuan said. Ding Shi, you are being too overbearing, okay? I don't know him at all. If you don't let him go, then don't even think about getting that thing. Let me tell you, I've already hidden that thing somewhere. In this world, only I know where it is. Even if you torture me, don't even think about finding out where that thing is hidden, because I've already used a secret technique to completely seal that part of my memory. If you have the ability, then open that part of my seal. When Ding Shi heard this, his expression changed. He seemed to have fallen into a rage. Luo Yuan, you actually dare to seal your own memory? How dare you? That is the soul sealing technique. Aren't you afraid of turning yourself into an idiot? Ding Shi obviously knew what secret technique Luo Yuan had used. He immediately roared. One had to know that Ding Shi had spent a lot of effort to retrieve that thing. However, in the end, it had been snatched away by Luo Yuan. That was why he had been keeping an eye on Luo Yuan. Unexpectedly, Luo Yuan had used the soul sealing technique to seal his memories. This was something he found hard to accept. Ding Shi would accept anything else, but this was the only thing that mattered. Luo Yuan roared with laughter. How about it? Aren't you surprised? Since you guys can deal with me in such a manner, why can't I, Luo Yuan, give you guys a present? Lin Fei, who was standing at the back, was slightly stunned. He also heard the problem. He narrowed his eyes and realized that this Luo Yuan fellow had indeed sealed a portion of his memories. This was a rather miraculous secret technique, and it was not easy to use it. Yet, this person had successfully used it. Ding Shi's expression kept changing. His gaze kept shifting between Luo Yuan and Lin Fei. Finally, he snorted coldly. Luo Yuan, consider yourself ruthless. However, that item is not something I want. Rather, it belongs to Paragon Chong Long. Therefore, I have no choice but to bring you to Paragon Chong Long. The same goes for you. Regardless of whether you know him or not, since you've heard our conversation, all the more I can't let you leave. Do it. The experts led by Ding Shi all attacked. 2 of them were dealing with Lin Fei. The rest went to deal with Luo Yuan. As soon as these people made their move, Luo Yuan could no longer maintain his composure. Brother, hurry up and leave. They are all disciples of the Supreme Being. If you don't leave now and get captured by them, you won't have a good ending. Luo Yuan turned around and attacked. He threw a dozen palm strikes in front of him. These palm shadows all contained the sound of thunder. The loud rumbling sounds really held them back. As a result, Lin Fei now had a higher opinion of Luo Yuan. At the very least, when an ordinary person encountered something like this, they would try to drag someone else to take the blame. Unexpectedly, Lin Fei was willing to disassociate himself from this. Such a thing was not rare, and it was not easy to encounter such a thing. At the very least, most people would not be so kind. In any case, they themselves wouldn't have a good ending. If they could drag someone down with them, they would. Ding Shi attacked. Luo Yuan, when you reach the Supreme Being's side, if you can still say something like this, I will consider you impressive. Ding Shi served the Supreme Being. In order to capture Luo Yuan, he had put in a lot of effort. Unexpectedly, Luo Yuan had run off to the secular world. Fortunately, Luo Yuan had been unable to endure it any longer and had returned. This time, however, there was someone else with him. Regardless, Ding Shi had still managed to grab hold of this opportunity. As long as he could bring Luo Yuan back, things would be simple. Lin Fei chuckled. Since you are still aware of this, I will help you. After all, good things will happen to good people. When Luo Yuan heard that good things would happen to good people, he couldn't help but be stunned. Since when did he become a good person? He just didn't want to implicate others. Swish. The Xiantian experts that were charging at him felt as if they had been punched heavily. All of them were sent flying. Even Ding Shi let out a muffled groan and fell to the ground. They had no idea how they had been injured. At this moment, sword scars appeared on their bodies, one after another. They were filled with fear. Even Luo Yuan's heart jolted at this sight. This time, he had encountered an expert. Ding Shi and the rest were all Xiantian experts. If they worked together, even Luo Yuan wouldn't be a match for them. But now they were all sent flying one after another. This made it hard for him to accept it. This is my second time coming to the Kunlun Mystery Land. Since I am in a good mood, you guys can leave. By the way, Ding Shi, you can stay here for now. After all, I don't like your actions. Ding Shi's chest was filled with sword wounds, making him realize how terrifying this person before him was. A certain power even appeared in his mind, the Sky Sword Mountain. After all, the sword intent of the Sky Sword Mountain was famous. Everyone that cultivated in sword arts would, without exception, take pride in joining the Sky Sword Mountain. It was no wonder that Ding Shi thought of the Sky Sword Mountain. Friend, I am a disciple of Supreme Being Changlong. Aren't you afraid of offending Supreme Being Changlong by dealing with us like this? Ding Shi shouted hurriedly. He searched his memories, but unfortunately, he couldn't find any. This guy that seemed to be from the Sky Sword Mountain had appeared too suddenly. He didn't recognize him at all. The only thing he could do now was to let him know how powerful Supreme Being Changlong was. Bookseller's House. Chapter 43-46. Unfortunately, Ding Shi's words had no effect on Lin Fei. That was because Lin Fei had no idea what the names of the 6 Supremes were. He had no idea what Supremacy Changlong's rank was. Therefore, his words were destined to be useless. On the other hand, Luo Yuan was somewhat surprised. Unexpectedly, after all this time, it turned out that the person beside him was the strongest. Even Supremacy Changlong did not seem to care. Friend, thank you for helping me. However, you should leave. That Supremacy Changlong is an extremely petty person. Although he is only ranked 6th, his strength cannot be underestimated. Although Luo Yuan was extremely grateful for Ding Shi's help, he still took the initiative to speak. Just stand there and don't say anything. Don't think that I helped you because I was curious about your great soul sealing art. That's why I helped you. Otherwise, do you think I would have helped you? Lin Fei snorted. Luo Yuan was forced to take 3 steps back before he could stabilize himself. His blood and energy were in turmoil, as if something big was about to happen. With this, Luo Yuan no longer dared to say anything. Lin Fei raised his hand and Ding Shi flew over. With a tap of his finger on Ding Shi's forehead, he instantly obtained all of Ding Shi's memories. With a casual fling, Ding Shi fainted completely. Even after waking up, he was still an idiot. Lin Fei's strength was gradually recovering. Naturally, a person who wanted to capture Lin Fei would have to pay a price. Therefore, Luo Yuan decided to take these memories away. Next, Lin Fei walked out of the underground palace. Luo Yuan followed behind him. He had never expected that Ding Shi, who was so powerful, would not even be able to block a single attack from Ding Shi. From the looks of it, Ding Shi had been crippled. After leaving the underground palace, the warm sunlight shone down on Luo Yuan. Lin Fei turned around and glanced at Luo Yuan. I didn't expect you to be so daring. You actually dared to steal the treasure that Supremacy Changlong spent 10 years searching for. You can be considered formidable. From Ding Shi's memories, Lin Fei finally found what he was looking for. As it turned out, Ding Shi was in charge of collecting treasures for Supremacy Changlong. One of the treasures had taken him a total of 10 years to find in an inconspicuous place in the Kunlun secret realm. However, it had been snatched away at a crucial moment. That person was none other than Luo Yuan. Luo Yuan was someone who specialized in treasure hunting. In Ding Shi's memories, this Luo Yuan had ruined the plans of countless people. Everyone knew that Luo Yuan was a dog. Wherever good things appeared, there would be traces of this fellow. This also caused the factions and even the supremes of the Kunlun mystic realm to be extremely dissatisfied. During this period of time, quite a number of people had been sent to hunt Luo Yuan down. Every time they were chased, they would hide outside. Furthermore, there were rules in the secular world and the Kunlun mystic realm. Because of that, Luo Yuan was able to live well. On the other hand, the autarchs were as disgusted as if they had just swallowed a fly. Unless absolutely necessary, Luo Yuan would not return to the Kunlun secret land. This time around, he was truly out of options. Supreme Changlong had set his sights on their family. Thus, he had no choice but to make a trip back. However, he had not expected to fall into a trap the moment he entered. Fortunately, he had managed to jump out of the trap. However, from the looks of it, he was about to jump into another trap. This trap seemed to be even more terrifying than he had imagined. Luo Yuan lowered his head and said honestly, "Senior, this little bit of ability of mine is really nothing before you. I'm just a person with a slightly better nose." He already knew that this person before him was definitely an expert of the senior generation. At the very least, he was at the level of a qi cultivator. Indeed, this person could easily deal with him. Even 10 Luo Yuans would not be a match for him. Since that was the case, he might as well be more polite. "At least you know how to speak properly. You are much better than that Ding Shi. If Ding Shi was half as good as you, he wouldn't have woken up as an idiot." Lin Fei snorted lightly. Luo Yuan inhaled a breath of cold air. He knew that Ding Shi would be in trouble. Unexpectedly, Ding Shi's memory had been spoiled and he had become an idiot. This was a Xiantian expert. But soon, this thought flashed through his mind. "Senior, I don't know what you wish to know. As long as I know, I will tell you honestly. I'm very interested in the things you took away. Although you used the soul sealing technique to seal your memories, that's only for ordinary people. It's not true for me. As long as you open your heart and let me open this memory, I'll naturally let you go after I've seen it. Otherwise, I'll have to use violence." Luo Yuan took a deep breath. "Is it that after using violence, I will become the same as Ding Shi?" "That's right. If you open your heart and let me look at your memory, I will guarantee your safety. I will even give you a small gift. As long as you are willing to look at it, I, Luo Yuan, will not have any objections. Senior, feel free to look at it." At this point, Luo Yuan did not dare to say anything else. Since Ding Shi had forcefully looked at his memory, it would be better for him to be obedient. Although Luo Yuan's great soul sealing technique was powerful, it was still something that Lin Fei could easily break. From the beginning to the end, Luo Yuan's heart was in his throat. Only later did he realize that he had been overthinking things. From the start, Luo Yuan was much stronger than him. That insignificant great soul sealing technique was nothing more than a joke. Lin Fei couldn't help but chuckle when he saw the memories of the soul sealing technique. "You are quite good at hiding, huh? To actually hide it right under his nose. I will have to trouble you to lead the way. I will take the opportunity to meet this paragon Chang Long." The sealed memories were restored. Luo Yuan laughed bitterly. "I had no other choice. Later on, I thought that the most dangerous place would be the safest. Therefore, I left it there. However, even after 3 months of research, I have yet to make any progress. Senior might be able to gain something from it. I will always be willing to hand over this treasure. In any case, this paragon Chang Long is not the rightful owner of this treasure." Naturally, Luo Yuan knew what to do. In any case, that treasure would only be troublesome in his hands. However, if it was in the hands of this senior, things would be different. To be honest, Luo Yuan was truly somewhat afraid of this paragon Chang Long. He was unscrupulous in doing things. Unexpectedly, this paragon Chang Long had been so persistent toward him that he had even dared to threaten his family. Luo Yuan's family was under the tutelage of another paragon. If possible, Luo Yuan was truly unwilling to return so quickly. Alas, he had no other choice. Fortunately, he only needed to make a single trip. This was more or less better than what Luo Yuan had expected. Bookseller's website. Chapter 43-47. Initially, Luo Yuan had been very worried. After all, this was a senior. He suspected that this was an expert from the Heavenly Sword Mountain who had unleashed his sword intent. Fortunately, along the way, Luo Yuan didn't feel any fear. This was because this person didn't exude such a strong aura. For a moment, Luo Yuan even suspected that this person was a senior. However, this person was able to easily suppress several innate experts. One could imagine how powerful this person was. Facing such a senior expert, Luo Yuan's heart was actually rather nervous and depressed. This was because these people were not easy to deal with. However, he had no choice. Now that his trump card had been seen through, apart from leading the way obediently, he had no other thoughts. The only thing that made Luo Yuan feel fortunate was that along the way, Supremacy Changlong's men had come to hunt him down. The news of Luo Yuan's return seemed to have spread. If this was in the past, Luo Yuan would definitely hide like a tortoise and hide as far away as he could. But this time, with the help of this old senior, it was simply smooth sailing. No matter what kind of expert came, they would be killed on the spot after the sword intent swept past them. The thick and boundless sword intent was too ferocious. Regardless of whether they were innate experts or those who had entered the Qi cultivation realm, they would face a terrifying sword intent attack in a single move. It was a direct suppression. This made Luo Yuan realize that this person before him was a true expert in the Qi cultivation realm. He was probably not far from the supremacy realm. To become a supremacy, one had to enter the Qi cultivation realm. Only by entering the Qi cultivation realm would one have the chance to enter the supremacy realm. Luo Yuan had seen quite a number of Qi cultivation realm experts. They were all very strong. However, compared to this person before him, they seemed to be much weaker. This person's sword intent was extremely ferocious. More importantly, there was no trace of it. One wouldn't even know when one was hit. It was as if the entire place was filled with sword intent. Anyone who entered this area would instantly be attacked by the sword intent. After walking for a few days, they had finally arrived at Supremacy Changlong's territory. Along the way, the number of people who came to hunt Luo Yuan decreased. It seemed like they were all very afraid of him and no longer showed up. If it weren't for the fact that so many experts had died along the way, Luo Yuan would have thought that he was dreaming. That's Changlong City, the place where Utmost Exalt Changlong reside. The item that I'm hiding is inside Changlong City. The two of them stood on a hillside. From this hillside, one could see a large city in the forest. This city seemed to be quite large. Lin Fei narrowed his eyes slightly. He could sense the aura of a Supreme Tao Master in Changlong City. The aura of this Supreme being surpassed the realm of Qi refinement. It was the 9th level of Qi disciple that was unique to Supreme Martial Artists. No, it should be the 10th level of Qi disciple great perfection. This was because only those who had perfected the 10th layer of Qi refining could be called a Supreme Expert. Because he was already infinitely close to the next higher realm. He could already use the power of the next step. That was the power of foundation establishment. At that time, the spells he cast would become very powerful. It was no longer as useless as it was now. Once he encountered some powerful close combat expert, the power of his spells would become weak. It wasn't easy for him to arrive at the territory of a supreme. Therefore, Lin Fei did not plan to encounter Utmost Exalt Changlong so early. That would be pointless. It was better for him to get his hands on the item first. Lin Fei casually took out a talisman and tossed it at Luo Yuan. Instantly, a dazzling light landed on Luo Yuan's body. Alright, you can now walk around Changlong City without worry. I've placed a talisman on your body. With this talisman, no one will be able to see through your true body, unless it's a Supreme Being expert. Luo Yuan said gratefully, "Thank you, Senior. I was still worrying about how to enter Changlong City. After all, with my current appearance, the moment I reach Changlong City, those fellas will definitely not let me off." Although Luo Yuan did not know what had happened to his body, He still believed in this senior's words. That talisman must be an extremely powerful item. When he was passing through the city gate, Luo Yuan's heart was in his throat. He was really afraid that he would be recognized by the guards. Even though the guards here did not seem to be very strong, the moment they recognized him as Luo Yuan, it would not take long for them to arrive. In less than 3 minutes, at most, experts would arrive to kill him. This was the efficiency of Changlong City. Luo Yuan passed through the city gate without any mishap. Only then did he realize that this senior's talisman was really useful. Those people did not change at all. Obviously, they treated him like an ordinary person. This was the first time Luo Yuan had seen such a talisman. If it was sold at an auction, it would definitely fetch a shocking price. "Senior, please follow me. My item is hidden in a courtyard in Changlong City." At this time, Luo Yuan was also relieved. He brought Lin Fei to an inconspicuous place in Changlong City and entered an alley. At the end of the alley was a courtyard. This courtyard was very shabby and inconspicuous. When they were about to reach the courtyard, Luo Yuan's expression changed slightly. This was because he realized that his courtyard had changed. It had been renovated by someone. This made Luo Yuan feel unwell. He had promised this senior that the item was hidden in this courtyard. But now, it seemed that this courtyard had been occupied by someone. How was this possible? At the very least, when Luo Yuan left, this courtyard still belonged to him. But now, it seemed that this courtyard no longer belonged to him. He, Luo Yuan, had been cheated. "It seems that your courtyard has been occupied by someone." Luo Yuan smiled bitterly and said, "I did not expect the person who sold my house to be so shameless. He actually sold my house for the second time. I reckon that he was aware that I was not in Changlong City. These people are just bullying outsiders." Lin Fei also laughed. "This is the Kunlun Mystic Land. Could it be that you, Luo Yuan, are still an outsider? That's really interesting." "Senior, don't worry. The item is in this courtyard. No matter who moves in, I will take it out. Just give me 3 days. No, just 1 day. Even if I have to sacrifice my life, I will take it out." Lin Fei said faintly, "There's no need. As long as the item is in this courtyard, it will be simple. There's no need to be sneaky. We can just go in and take it." Lin Fei had already scanned the courtyard with his divine sense. There were no experts in this courtyard. There was only a young girl and an old woman. Other than them, there was no one else. Chapter 43-48. The courtyard wasn't very big. The rooms inside were arranged one at the front and the other at the back. There were only 2 rooms. Despite the small courtyard, it was very clean and tidy. Inside the room sat a young girl. She didn't look very old, but there was a chill coming from her body. The whole room felt like a world of ice and snow. At this time, the room outside was like an oven, constantly suppressing the invasion of the cold. At this time, the old woman sitting outside suddenly opened her eyes, and a cold light flashed in her eyes. A cold glint flashed in her eyes as she slowly stood up and pushed the door open. "Granny, did something happen?" "Don't worry, it's just a few rats. I'll go and drive them away. You just need to be quiet inside," Wang Yao said. The old woman walked out and closed the door behind her. At this time, Lin Fei and Luo Yuan walked over. Luo Yuan's eyes met the old woman at first glance. Instantly, he felt as if he had been hit in the head by a club, and cold sweat broke out. Hua! A clump of flames emerged from Luo Yuan's body. In the blink of an eye, he had turned into a flaming man. Luo Yuan was scared out of his wits. He had never expected that this old granny would be so powerful. She could kill him in an instant in a single move. Lin Fei, who was beside him, lightly patted Luo Yuan's body with his palm. The clump of flames was instantly suppressed and disappeared without a trace. However, in that instant, Luo Yuan felt as if he had taken a walk on the edge of life and death. He knew that if this old senior hadn't acted, he would have died without a doubt. He had truly encountered a top-notch expert. In the past, there had been a saying that it would be lucky to encounter a top-notch expert in one's lifetime. However, Luo Yuan had never expected that he would encounter a top-notch expert so soon. Not one at a time, but two. These two top-notch experts could easily take his life. For a moment, Luo Yuan felt that his luck was too good. It was not easy to survive in front of two top-notch experts. So many people have died. Could it be that you still want to take advantage of this old granny? As soon as the old lady spoke, strands of flame appeared where Lin Fei was. These strands of flame were as thin as silk. They covered the area and enveloped Lin Fei and Luo Yuan at the same time. That blazing aura caused Luo Yuan's limbs to go limp. He could no longer stand, as he was simply unable to endure it. Lin Fei frowned slightly. He didn't expect to meet a great master here. This was a qi cultivating stage expert. The fire spell he cast was very powerful. In the blink of an eye, the entire area was covered with fire filament. These filaments were extremely terrifying. Each one of them contained a terrifyingly high temperature. If it landed on a person's body, it would burn them into ashes. Just like what had happened to Luo Yuan. It was just that he had unknowingly fallen into the flame threads. As the saying goes, sword qi like silk, there were also thin threads of flame. This required extremely powerful strength to achieve. Especially since they had to be spread all over this area. This wasn't something an ordinary person could achieve. For a moment, Lin Fei felt that the treasure that Luo Yuan had hidden might have been taken away by this old lady. Otherwise, how could there be such a powerful person here? Senior, that item must still be in this courtyard. I don't know this person at all. I don't know who he is either. Luo Yuan's eyes lit up as he hurriedly explained. He was really afraid that this old senior would misunderstand him. When the fiery threads approached Lin Fei, they broke apart with loud bangs. No matter how many flame filaments there were, they were unable to get close to Lin Fei. The old lady's turbid eyes narrowed slightly. She recognized this sword intent and said with some surprise, "Which expert from the Heavenly Sword Mountain are you? Are you thinking of getting involved in this matter? I advise you to leave this place. Don't force this old lady to use her killer move." Lin Fei said with a smile, "Who said that I'm an expert from the Heavenly Sword Mountain? I'm only here to take something. If you let me take it away, then it's naturally for the good of both of us." The old lady did not believe Lin Fei's words. After all, this person was extremely powerful. Moreover, he was from the Heavenly Sword Mountain. She had to be on guard against him. "There's nothing that you want in my courtyard. If there really is something that you want, you can tell me. This old lady will actually help you take it out." Of course, the old lady would not let anyone enter the courtyard so easily. "I must enter the courtyard. After all, the item is in the courtyard. Don't you think so, Luo Yuan?" At present, Luo Yuan was trembling in fear. To think that something like this would happen to him. He had originally thought that the person in the courtyard was not an expert. As such, he would naturally be able to relax. However, a formless attack from the other party had nearly put him on the brink of death. This had caused Luo Yuan to feel afraid. However, he still plucked up his courage and said, "Old lady, I was the one who rented this courtyard. That person told you that the previous owner of this courtyard was called Luo Yuan, right? As for me, I'm called Luo Yuan. I'm quite famous in the Kunlun Mystery Land." The old lady knew that the previous owner of this courtyard was called Luo Yuan. This was because the person who sold them the house said that something had happened to Luo Yuan. Therefore, this house had been taken back by them. Unexpectedly, the previous owner of Luo Yuan had appeared. Most importantly, there was a great expert beside him. The old lady seemed to understand what that person had said. Perhaps there was really something good hidden in this courtyard. "Old lady, regardless of whether you are Luo Yuan or not, I'm the one who bought this courtyard. Therefore, no one is allowed to enter this courtyard." The old lady's gaze was fixed on Lin Fei. Her words were also directed at Lin Fei. "Looks like I have to personally come to this courtyard to take the item." Lin Fei shook his head and walked forward with large strides. The moment he walked forward, the old lady felt an immense pressure. A storm-like sword intent surged over like a tide, and the surrounding fiery filaments collapsed completely in an instant. Lin Fei's sword intent was overbearing. It was not something that the flame strands could withstand. The old lady knew that she had to use a killer move when she saw this. Lotus plucking from the fire. A huge lotus flower appeared beneath Lin Fei's feet. It was unknown when this lotus flower had been set up. A huge wave of scorching heat surged up into the sky. The entire void was instantly burned into nothingness. After the old lady executed this move, she retreated a few steps before stabilizing herself. Luo Yuan, who was standing far away, had cold sweat all over his forehead. Chapter 43-49. This move of the granny was quite terrifying. A fire lotus rose up, and the huge force directly obliterated the void. This was not something he could resist at all. An old granny like this could kill dozens or even hundreds of him by herself. There was no way he could resist her. At this moment, the old granny looked over with an extremely cold gaze. Luo Yuan felt that it was better for him to surrender. He might be able to keep his life. Otherwise, he would become a corpse. Luo Yuan regretted hiding this thing in this courtyard. He didn't expect that he would encounter such a terrifying existence. How could he encounter such a thing? You're really good at using magic. You actually set up a fire lotus here without anyone noticing. An ordinary person would really be caught off guard by you. A voice suddenly sounded. A figure walked out from the original spot. Who else could it be but Lin Fei? Lin Fei seemed to be completely fine. He had a faint smile on his face. On the other hand, the old woman's expression darkened. With a crash, another fire lotus appeared. However, as soon as this fire lotus appeared, the old woman's face darkened. However, the moment this fire lotus appeared, a ripple appeared in front of Lin Fei, easily blocking the fire lotus. I wonder how many times you can use this fire lotus. If I'm not wrong, 3 times is your limit. You might even have to pay with your life. Lin Fei walked over and said, "Didn't I tell you very clearly just now? I only want the thing in this courtyard. As for who you are, I'm really not interested. You don't have to make a fuss." Lin Fei was really doing this for the thing in the courtyard. He was really not interested in the background of this old granny. This old granny was indeed very strong. Although she had not reached the Supreme Being level, she was probably not far from it. Everyone had their own secret. Naturally, Lin Fei would not expose them, nor would he try to understand them. As long as he obtained the thing, he would naturally leave. "Who are you? You're actually fine after taking my fire lotus. You're definitely not an ordinary chi cultivator." The old granny's fire lotus technique was indeed very terrifying. The entire area was covered in thin threads of fire. The sudden eruption of the fire lotus often caught many people off guard. This was also one of her killer moves. Not only did this person easily withstand it, but he also knew that she could not use this fire lotus too many times. 3 times was indeed the old granny's limit. She might even have to pay with her life. If she could kill this person 3 times, the old granny would definitely attack him with all her might. From the looks of it, even if she used the fire lotus a 3rd time, she might not be able to catch this guy. Was he really here to take the thing? Are you really here to take the thing? Lin Fei flicked his finger, and a surge of sword intent shot over. Have a taste of this sword intent of mine first and see if what I said is true or not. It's a bit troublesome for a great expert like you to kill, but it's not difficult at all. Have a taste of my sword intent first. See if I'm telling the truth. It's a little troublesome to kill a great expert like you, but it's not difficult. The sword intent came and disappeared quickly. However, the old granny knew that she would definitely not be able to block it. Even if the old granny had a defensive treasure, she would not be able to block the attack of the sword intent. The sword intent was simply too overbearing. As long as you're here to take the thing, the old granny will allow you to take it. However, if you have any ulterior motives, the old granny will risk her life to severely injure you. In the end, the old granny decided to let him take the thing. If anything went wrong during the process, she would immediately take action. She would not give anyone a chance. If I wanted to kill you, it would be very simple. Unfortunately, I'm not interested in you. I'm only interested in that thing. Lin Fei looked back at Luo Yuan. Luo Yuan nodded repeatedly and said, Senior, I'll go and take the treasure right now. Luo Yuan took a deep breath and walked towards the courtyard. He was also on tenterhooks. What if the old granny did not keep her promise and killed him? Luo Yuan felt that he had to go into seclusion after this matter was settled. He would not come out until he became a Qi refinement realm expert. It was too dangerous. Who said that an innate realm expert was very powerful? Facing a Qi refinement realm expert was simply like a grandson. Lin Fei did not follow Luo Yuan in. He was not worried that Luo Yuan would dare to play any tricks in front of him. About 15 minutes later, Luo Yuan came out of the room once more. This time, he came out with a wooden box in his hand. There was a talisman on the wooden box. With the talisman, the quality of the entire wooden box looked different. Lin Fei could see that the talisman had isolated the aura within the wooden box. That fellow really did hide something inside. I wonder what it is that gave Autarch Chong Long the courage to hunt Luo Yuan down. The old granny heaved a sigh of relief. She actually did not find any treasure hidden in her courtyard. She felt somewhat regretful. Fortunately, the other party was not after them. That was enough for her. The guy in front of her was not someone the old granny could deal with. It would be best if they could leave as soon as possible. Just now, the old granny had been very careful when she had made her move. Although the killer move she had unleashed was quite fierce, she had controlled it within a small area. Therefore, no one would notice it. Yes, this is the item I hid in the wooden box. It's inside. I did not do anything to it. Luo Yuan explained. The talisman is used to isolate the aura of the treasure inside. It must not be opened within Chonglong City. Once it is opened, Supremacy Chonglong will sense it. Naturally, Lin Fei would not open the talisman. He knew that if he did, it would be the same as telling others that a treasure had appeared. Ha 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 ha, I can wear out iron shoes in fruitless searching, only to find it by chance. Old Granny Hua, I did not expect you to dare to hide in Chonglong City. You really made it hard for me to find you. In order to find you, I wasted 3 months. Let's see where you can run to this time. Suddenly, a cold laughter came from the alley. Following that, a gust of wind blew. A figure appeared in the alley. A chill soon followed. The old granny's expression changed when she heard this voice. Whoosh! A sea of flames enveloped the alley. Chapter 4350. The fire wasn't an ordinary fire. It was a purple flame. It covered the entire alley, filling it with a terrifying, blazing aura. At the very least, a Xiantian expert like Luo Yuan turned pale and kept retreating. He didn't notice the danger at all. Don't move. If you move again, you'll be dead. Lin Fei's voice drifted into Luo Yuan's ears. Just stand there obediently. Lin Fei didn't expect this old granny to have such a strong background. She actually had an enemy chasing after her. This enemy was also very strong and was actually a Qi cultivator. Old Granny Hua, your attack is much weaker than the last time. It seems that your injuries haven't recovered yet. You won't be able to escape this time. In the midst of the purple flames, earth walls soared into the sky, forming a barrier that blocked that person from walking over. The person waved his hand and an earth dragon came out. The huge earth dragon swung and smashed the purple flames, greatly reducing its power. Lin Fei could also see that the old granny's strength wasn't as strong as the other party. It was just as the other party had said. Her injuries hadn't fully recovered and she couldn't unleash her full strength. Of course, all of this had nothing to do with Lin Fei. He was only here to take the item on the treasure box. As for the rest, it had nothing to do with him. They could fight however they wanted. It wouldn't matter even if they fought until the sky fell and the earth cracked. Old Granny Hua changed her techniques several times, but she still couldn't block the attack of the Earth Dragon. In the end, the Earth Dragon exploded in front of her and turned into a pure force that sent the old granny flying. She landed at the entrance of the courtyard. I already said that your injuries aren't light. You managed to escape last time because you had a treasure. This time, your treasure won't be of any use. I advise you to accept your fate. The person was dressed in black armor and walked over step by step. He was like a moving mountain, giving off a very steady and majestic feeling. Luo Yuan, who was at the side, exclaimed, "Earth element, he's Earth element." Luo Yuan's cry of alarm caused the armored man's gaze to turn cold as he looked at Luo Yuan. Luo Yuan grunted and retreated a few steps before stopping. And here I was wondering who it was. So it's Luo Yuan. Kid, you're quite courageous. Of all places to hide, you chose to hide here. Looks like I've searched far and wide for you, only to find you here. I've actually managed to capture 2 of you. Earth Element had the same expression on his face. One ought to know that this Luo Yuan was someone who had stolen Paragon Changlong's treasures and was being chased all this time. Unexpectedly, Luo Yuan was hiding right under Paragon Changlong's nose. If not for Luo Yuan's exclamation, Earth Elemental would not have been able to recognize Luo Yuan. After retreating a few steps, Luo Yuan panicked. He knew that he was finished. He had actually been recognized by Earth Elemental. He was just an innate expert. You are mistaken. I am not Luo Yuan. I am just a passerby. You guys can continue fighting. I will leave now. Suppressing his injuries, Luo Yuan turned around and prepared to leave. If he didn't leave now, it would be too late. Just as he turned around, an earth prison charged out from underground, trapping him in an instant. This earthen prison was extremely tough. Even when Luo Yuan slammed his palms against it, he couldn't do anything to it. An expression of despair appeared on his face. Since you are together with Luo Yuan, you should know quite a lot of things. Just stay with Luo Yuan. An earth prison charged out from beneath Lin Fei. Lin Fei snorted and stomped down. Cracking sounds could be heard as the earth prison shattered, turning into dust. You are quite proficient in using earth-type magic. Looks like you have used this to trap people quite often. However, you have used it on the wrong person. With a stomp, not only did Lin Fei shatter the earth prison beneath him, but it also shattered Luo Yuan's earth prison as well. The strength of Lin Fei's stomp was not to be underestimated. One could definitely sense how terrifying it was. Earth Elemental had never expected that his earth-type magic would be broken so easily. Due to the young age of his opponent, he couldn't see through him. Naturally, Earth Elemental would not let him off just because of a few words. It was rare for him to encounter such a good opportunity today. Naturally, he would capture everyone here in one fell swoop. You are quite capable. However, you are still lacking compared to me, Earth Elemental. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Huge earth spikes pierced through the ground, instantly unleashing a fierce attack. Luo Yuan, who was beside Luo Yuan, was paralyzed on the ground. If he was the target, he would be killed by these earth spikes in an instant. Lin Fei stood there without moving. A wave of sword intent drifted with the wind. Everywhere it passed, the earth spikes would be sliced apart. If you have any earth spells, feel free to use them. But I don't think your mastery of earth spells is good enough. Lin Fei snorted. Let me show you what earth-type magic is. Lin Fei snapped his fingers. Big wooden pillar. Even a kid like you knows how to use magic. Just as this thought appeared in Earth Elemental's mind, a huge earth pillar shot up from the ground and slammed into Earth Elemental. Caught off guard, Earth Elemental was sent flying. Wave after wave of energy exploded on his body. Earth Elemental was blasted more than 10 to 20 times. Finally, he landed heavily in the alley. Although my Earth Pillar isn't very big, it is much more powerful than your Earth Spikes. Your Earth-type magic is too weak. Lin Fei sighed. Both Luo Yuan and the granny were shocked. Everyone knew that the more powerful a magic was, the more energy it consumed. However, not everyone could learn such a powerful magic. For example, the Earth Dragon and Earth Spikes that Earth Elemental had used were actually very powerful Earth-type magic. Now, it seemed that this young man's big wooden pillar was the one with the true explosive power. It caught Earth Elemental off guard. After Earth Elemental was hit by the big wooden pillar, his mind went blank. He was really attacked by a powerful Earth-type magic. The sudden burst of power affected his 5 viscera and 6 bowels. This was the scariest thing. Who are you? How can you execute such a powerful magic? Could you be a sovereign? That's impossible. There are only 6 sovereigns in the Kunlun mystic realm. It was normal for Earth Elemental to have such a thought. After all, that Earth breath was something that even he couldn't execute. What about this? Bang 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 bang. Over 10 big wooden pillars soared into the sky and slammed into Earth Elemental. Bookseller's website. Chapter 43:51. Earth Elemental spat out a few mouthfuls of blood after being hit by a dozen wooden stakes. He couldn't even stand straight and retreated to a corner. He looked at Lin Fei with fear. How is it? My wooden stakes taste pretty good, right? If you're not satisfied, I can give you more at any time. Lin Fei chuckled. However, in Earth Elemental's eyes, this chuckle was too much of a blow. Do you have to bully me like this just because you know powerful spells? I'm an expert below the Supreme Being level after all. Don't you have any shame? However, Earth Elemental didn't dare to say this. He really couldn't see through this guy. Even Earth Elemental himself couldn't use such powerful spells. Only a Supreme Being expert could use them. Could you please leave your name so that I can know who I lost to? Earth Elemental didn't dare to attack again. However, he still had to know who this person was. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to take it lying down. I only have an ordinary name. You wouldn't know me even if I told you. Lin Fei smiled. However, since you asked, I'll tell you. My surname is Lin, and my name is Lin Fei. If you want to cause trouble for me, come at me. Earth Elemental quickly searched for this name in his mind, but he really couldn't find anything. There was no information about Lin Fei in his mind. It was as if this person had appeared out of thin air. After learning this person's name, Earth Elemental used an Earth escape technique and left just like that. At first, old Granny Hua and Luo Yuan thought that Earth Elemental had left. However, Lin Fei suddenly stomped on the ground and a huge wooden stake rushed out. There was a figure on top of it. You've already left. Why are you still hiding underground? You're too dishonest. Earth Elemental was sent flying by a huge wooden stake and disappeared in an instant. What old Granny Hua thought was a very troublesome matter had been resolved in an instant. That was Earth Elemental, an expert in earth spells, yet he had been defeated just like that. The problem in front of them would be solved. If you don't want to be hunted down by Earth Elemental, you should leave this Chonglong city as soon as possible. Lin Fei naturally didn't plan to leave the items he had obtained here. Even though the earlier commotion wasn't too great, Lin Fei knew that Autarch Chonglong must have sensed it. He might even be on his way here right now. Although Lin Fei did not fear that supremacy Chonglong, he still found it troublesome to deal with. After all, he had a treasure in his hands, and he wanted to see what it was more than anyone else. Now, Lin Fei only had this little bit of interest. Luo Yuan blanked out for a moment before recovering. It was indeed as Lin Fei had said. If he didn't leave now, when Earth Elemental returned, he would definitely not be able to escape. Everyone knew that he, Luo Yuan, had robbed quite a lot of treasures. He was akin to a moving treasure. With that, Luo Yuan slipped away. If they didn't leave now, when would they leave? Could they wait until Autark Changlong arrived? Luo Yuan definitely wouldn't have the confidence to leave. Even though his movement technique wasn't bad, it couldn't compare to an Autark. After Luo Yuan left, Lin Fei decided to leave as well. He was prepared to take a good look at what this treasure was and why it was worth being hunted down. From the looks of it, this talisman seemed rather decent. One could imagine how extraordinary the treasure inside was. Just these few points alone were enough for Lin Fei to take a good look at it. Thank you, Autark Lin, for helping me. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have been able to escape Earth Elemental's pursuit. Old Granny Hua said sincerely. When Lin Fei heard this, he was somewhat surprised. Old Granny Hua had actually called him a Autark. However, after thinking about it, he realized that his current strength was indeed comparable to an Autarka's. After all, his injuries were constantly being healed by the Tree of Life, and his strength was slowly increasing as well. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was an Autark. However, he wasn't interested in Autarks at all. After all, he was merely in the Foundation Establishment realm. To put it bluntly, the Foundation Establishment realm wasn't much. Since you know that Earth Elemental is here to kill you, I think you should hurry up and find another place. After all, nothing good ever happens. Lin Fei smiled. Old Granny Hua continued, if I didn't see wrongly, the treasure in Autark Lin's hand should be that thing. As for this talisman, it should be the legendary Heavenly Origin talisman. Old Granny Hua's words suddenly changed and she actually mentioned that treasure. Indeed, Lin Fei was planning to leave. He wasn't too interested in this fight. However, when this Heavenly Origin talisman was mentioned, he knew that it was this talisman. After all, this talisman was rather decent. It was especially so because the refining method was very advanced. It wasn't something an ordinary person could refine. A talisman like this was probably hard to find in the entire Kunlun mystic realm. You even know about this Heavenly Origin talisman? It seems like you know quite a lot. I wonder if Sovereign Lin is interested in knowing more about this treasure. I'm not exaggerating, but in the entire Kunlun secret realm, the number of people who know about this treasure can be counted on 2 hands, and I'm one of them. Granny Hua's gaze also turned serious. That's right. That's right. Lin Fei didn't doubt her words at all. Old Granny might really know the whereabouts of this treasure. The Heavenly Origin talisman that you mentioned sounds very powerful. However, it's just a talisman to me. I can easily take it off. Lin Fei laughed and took out the treasure. The Heavenly Origin talisman was as ordinary as ever. After hearing Old Granny's words, Lin Fei knew that the Heavenly Origin talisman was definitely not something simple. He snorted and raised his hand to grab the Heavenly Origin talisman. However, just as he grabbed the Heavenly Origin talisman, a force bombarded the center of his palm. The force seeped into his palm and showed signs of disintegrating his body. This kind of power was quite extraordinary. Old Granny Hua was also paying attention. In fact, she had recognized this treasure from the start. However, she didn't say anything. She just didn't expect this treasure to fall into the hands of this person. Autark Lin seemed to know nothing about this treasure. This was quite surprising. The power of the Heavenly Origin talisman's counterattack had indeed surprised Lin Fei. However, an even more violent force surged down. Kacha kacha. The Heavenly Origin talisman collapsed in the blink of an eye. It turned into pieces and drifted away with the wind. The wooden box opened. See, it's that simple. Chapter 43-52. Old Granny Hua had not expected Lin Fei to be able to destroy the Heavenly Origin talisman so easily. One must know that the Heavenly Origin talisman contained immense power. Most importantly, the Heavenly Origin talisman was extremely tough. It was not something that could be destroyed so easily. However, the Supreme Lin Fei before her truly made her feel how powerful he was. This made old Granny Hua even more certain that the person in front of her was a supreme expert. If he was not a supreme expert, how could he have destroyed the Heavenly Origin Talisman so easily? After the Heavenly Origin Talisman was destroyed, the wooden box opened. Yi Xiaolong opened the wooden box and saw that there was a black token in it. However, there were no words on the black token. It was as simple as it could be. However, it was precisely this token that caused Lin Fei to be slightly moved. He could feel that the token was indeed quite different. There was a vast and invincible aura coming from the token. It was as if there was a world inside it. It was quite extraordinary. Lin Fei took the token out casually. It was heavy, but Lin Fei was stronger now. Hence, he could easily hold it in his hand. He had wanted to admire it for a while. However, he did not expect the tree of life in his body to suck the token in. In the blink of an eye, the token was surrounded by the tree of life. Lin Fei saw the tree of life start to grow. In a short period of time, it had grown 20 to 30 centimeters taller and was even more luxuriant. The divine water of life that flowed out was also more than before. After it flowed through his body, Lin Fei's injuries recovered quite a bit. The recovery was like a roller coaster ride. It made Lin Fei feel different. He had never thought that the black token would be so useful. It was completely beyond his expectations. Before Lin Fei could figure out what was going on, the token was absorbed and refined by the tree of life. Old Granny Hua looked at each other. She did not expect the token to disappear all of a sudden. She could not even feel the aura of the token anymore. Could it have been stored away? However, she immediately noticed that the aura around Lin Fei seemed to have become much stronger. "Tell me, how much do you know about this token?" Lin Fei's tone suddenly turned heavy as he stared at the old lady. Old Granny Hua felt that if she didn't say anything, she wouldn't be able to leave this place. She didn't know why Lin Fei was so interested in this token, but she more or less knew that there must be some secret behind it. It was just that she didn't know. "Supreme Sir, if you don't mind my simple courtyard, why don't you come in and have a seat? I can have a good talk with you." What kind of person was Lin Fei? He saw through Granny Hua's thoughts with a single glance. Something must have happened to this guy. If it was something else, Lin Fei might not have minded it. However, this token was really important to him. Lin Fei had never thought that this token would have such a miraculous effect on recovering injuries. This was really surprising to Lin Fei. If he could get a few more tokens like this, his injuries would at least recover faster. "There's no need to sit inside. I'm afraid that I might scare the young lady inside. I might as well speak openly here." With a wave of his hand, Lin Fei's sword intent enveloped the entire alley, transforming into an invisible barrier of light. When the sword intent appeared, old Granny Hua felt a chill down her spine. The sharp aura destroyed all the fire-based techniques in the surroundings, rendering all her techniques useless. Old Granny Hua knew that this was something that Sovereign Lin Fei had set up to prevent anyone from eavesdropping. "Supreme Sir, what you just obtained is an extremely rare Supreme Heaven token in our Kunlun mystic realm." Supreme Heaven token? Lin Fei frowned slightly. He could indeed feel a boundless and invincible aura from this token. Although the Divine Dragon Key also had an unusual aura, it was far inferior to the aura of the Supreme Being token. I don't know what material this Supreme Heaven token is made of, but it's rumored that there are very few of them in the entire Kunlun mystic realm. However, every single one of them will bring about a great opportunity. It's said that one can obtain the treasures left behind by the #1 expert in the Kunlun mystic realm, Supreme Heaven. Lin Fei did not know much about the Kunlun mystic realm. He only knew that there were currently 6 Supremes in the Kunlun mystic realm. Now that he heard this, it seemed like the Kunlun mystic realm once had a #1 Supremes. This Supremes was quite famous as well. He actually dared to call himself Supreme Heaven. Most people without some strength would not dare to call themselves such a name. Supreme Heaven is the #1 Supremes in our Kunlun mystic realm. he's also the strongest Supremes. It's rumored that his realm has always been at the Supreme's realm. However, his strength is the real deal. It's rumored that there was an expert who surpassed the Supreme's realm. In the end, Supreme Heaven killed that expert with a single sword strike. He killed more than 10 experts of that level, thus maintaining the peace of the Kunlun mystic realm. Lin Fei knew that the Supreme's realm was equivalent to the Foundation Establishment realm. Above the Foundation Establishment realm was the Core Formation realm. In other words, this Supreme Heaven in the Foundation Establishment realm could actually kill experts of the Core Formation realm, and more than 10 of them at that. His strength was truly unfathomable. It could even be said that his accumulation was rather terrifying. If it was anyone else, they might have some doubts. However, Lin Fei did not doubt the old granny's words at all. If Supreme Heaven was the number 1 Supremes, then he would be the number 1 Supremes. If that was the case, it would explain why the Supreme Heaven token had such a miraculous effect. It was actually absorbed by the God Tree of Life as nourishment. In other words, this Supreme Heaven was rather capable. As far as I know, there are a total of 10 of such Supreme Heaven tokens in the entire Kunlun mystic realm. Now that Supreme Heaven has taken one away, there are 9 of such Supreme Heaven tokens left. Then where are these Supreme Heaven tokens? Each of the 6 Supremes has one. The remaining 3 are occupied by the 3 major powers. It's rumored that using the Supreme Heaven token to cultivate can increase one's cultivation speed. Therefore, it has always been a top-notch treasure in the Kunlun mystic realm. Supreme Chong Long somehow found out about this Supreme Heaven token and arranged for people to search for it for countless years. In the end, it was snatched away by Luo Yuan. Lin Fei frowned slightly. Doesn't that mean that there are far more than just 10 Supreme Heaven tokens? Perhaps there are even more in the Kunlun mystic realm. That's unknown. However, based on the current situation, the 6 Supremes and the 3 major powers all have this Supreme Heaven token. Chapter 43-53. Lin Fei couldn't let this opportunity slip by. Even if there were only 9, no, 10 Heaven's Path medallions, he would still get them one by one. He couldn't let this opportunity slip by. Lin Fei was even more confident in recovering his strength now that he had the Supreme Sky token. More importantly, the Life God Tree was extremely satisfied with the token and was beaming with joy. Zhao Chan, I've finally found you. To think that you could still hide right under my nose. Now I can answer to Supreme Xing Hai. A burst of laughter could be heard. In the alley in front of them, a figure appeared. A gust of wind blew over and turned into a figure standing in the courtyard. Supreme Chong Long Zhao Chan's face sank. That was the old granny's name. There were not many people in the Kunlun secret realm who could accurately call out her name. This Supreme Chong Long was one of them. Zhao Chan could not be more familiar with this person. He was one of the 6 Supremes. Supreme Chong Long unexpectedly. The commotion from earlier had attracted Supreme Chong Long. This was what Zhao Chan was most worried about. Supreme Chong Long was a middle-aged man with a pale face and no facial hair. Right now, he was clearly surprised and overjoyed. He was originally cultivating and meditating in his own residence. However, that slight ripple had startled him awake. Hence, he had followed the direction of the ripple. He had not expected to reap such a harvest right under his nose. This was truly unexpected. Who didn't know that Supreme Xing Hai was chasing after Zhao Chan? Anyone who could bring her back would receive a generous gift from Supreme Xing Hai. One must know that Supreme Xing Hai was the number 1 Supremes in the Kunlun secret realm. He was ridiculously strong. Even Supreme Chong Long was not a match for him. He was publicly acknowledged to be the strongest of the 6 Supremes. No one knew exactly what level this Supreme Xing Hai's strength had reached. However, the remaining 5 Supremes were simply not a match for him. This was something everyone knew in their hearts. After Supreme Xing Hai issued the bounty, these Supremes were naturally moved. Where else could they find such a good opportunity to obtain something good from Supreme Xinghai? Unfortunately, Zhao Chan had disappeared without a trace. This caused these Supremes to feel somewhat frustrated. You are Supreme Changlong, Lin Fei laughed. He had originally planned to go look for Autarch Changlong. He wanted to obtain the Supreme Sky token from him. He didn't expect that this person would take the initiative to come to him. This was really a good thing. What are you? You don't have the right to speak here. Cram to the side. Supreme Changlong swept a glance over and raised his hand, sending a large number of wind blades flying over. These wind blades were densely packed, and they were innumerable. Every wind blade was extremely powerful, surpassing the level of qi refinement and reaching the level of foundation establishment. Using such a method to deal with him was indeed a little overkill. However, Supreme Changlong was just that arrogant and domineering. How could a brat dare to call out his name in such a manner? How could Supremacy Changlong think too much about it? He simply raised his hand and destroyed the brat. When the wind blade arrived in front of Lin Fei, the sword intent emerged. Bang bang bang. He blocked the kites. An expert from Heavenly Sword Mountain. After Changlong gave it a glance, he recognized the sword intent. In the entire Kunlun mystic realm, only the experts from Heavenly Sword Mountain could display perfect sword intent. It was one thing if it was an ordinary expert from Heavenly Sword Mountain. However, those who managed to cultivate out sword intent were all potential seeds of Heavenly Sword Mountain. If the Heavenly Sword Mountain were to get involved with Zhao Chan, things would get troublesome. Everyone knew that Heavenly Sword Mountain had a supreme expert as well. The Supreme of Heavenly Sword Mountain was a lunatic. His sword intent swept through the world. Supreme Changlong really didn't want to go up against that fella. There was simply no benefit in doing so. I heard that the Supreme Sky token is in your hands. I'm rather interested in this thing. Hand it over. Supreme Changlong frowned. To think that you know about the Supreme Sky token as well. The matter of the Supreme Sky token had not spread much in the Kunlun mystic realm. That was because it was limited to the circle of the Supremes. Coupled with the fact that a few Qi refinement realm experts knew about it, no one else knew about it. Not even a single word about it had been passed down. However, to think that this fellow would ask for his Supreme Sky token the moment he opened his mouth. Was there something wrong with this fella's brain? Even Supreme Changlong was starting to doubt himself. The Supreme Sky token is indeed in my hands. However, you are rather gutsy. Even if the Supremes of Heavenly Sword Mountain are here, they can forget about getting me to hand over the Supreme Sky token. Supreme Changlong was starting to get angry. It had not been easy for him to find Zhao Chan unexpectedly. Another fella popped out and asked for the Supreme Sky token. What an arrogant tone. Did he really think that the Supreme Sky token was an ordinary item? That was a top-notch treasure of the Kunlun mystic realm. At the mention of the Supreme Sky token, Supreme Changlong was infuriated. He had arranged for people to search for the Supreme Sky token and spent several years searching for it. In the end, when he finally managed to obtain any news about it, it had been snatched away by that Luo Yuan. Now, someone was eyeing his Supreme Sky token. Wasn't he just courting death? Did he really think that he, Supreme Changlong, was a pushover? So, you don't intend to hand it over? That's fine. I'll just take it myself. Who asked me to be interested in this Supreme Sky token? What? A huge sword formation instantly enveloped Supreme Changlong's body. A myriad of sword intents descended upon him in a single move. Supreme Changlong did not notice the sword intents circulating around him at all. As such, he was caught unprepared. Numerous wind blades appeared around his body to form a protective barrier. When the wind blades collided with the sword intents, they crumbled without stop. They had no way of resisting at all. Supreme Changlong realized that he had underestimated this kid. His opponent's sword intents were simply too powerful. The power of the sword formation did not change at all. From start to end, it continued to suppress him. The rate at which Changlong's wind blades were being depleted was extremely fast. Soon, he started to feel the pressure. Supreme Changlong had no idea when such an expert had appeared in the Kunlun mystic realm. Armor of Wind. Seeing that the wind blades were getting harder and harder to block, Supreme Changlong snorted lightly. Autarch Changlong let out a soft snort, and a suit of armor instantly materialized on his body, protecting most of his body. This was Changlong's strongest treasure, the armor of wind. It possessed extremely powerful defensive capabilities. He had never expected that he would have to use this treasure so quickly. His opponent's sword intents were boundless. With a single move, he had no way of breaking through it at all. Now that he was enveloped by the sword formation, he had no other choice but to take it head-on. This time around, another great expert had appeared from the Heavenly Sword Mountain. What worried Supreme Changlong was that this sovereign of the Heavenly Sword Mountain might be hiding in the shadows, waiting to deal a blow at him at a critical moment. Whoosh! The sword formation suddenly changed, transforming into a single sword that slashed out towards Supreme Changlong's body. It was simply too fast. Even the sudden change in technique left Supreme Changlong no time to react. The power of the sword had already smashed into his body, sending him flying. Chapter 43-54. A formless sword slashed out, sending Autarch Changlong flying. The power of this sword was far greater than he had imagined. A rumbling sound crashed down on Supremacy Changlong's body. Countless layers of defenses appeared on Supremacy Changlong's body, but he was still unable to withstand the power of this sword as wave after wave of attacks assaulted him. After landing on the ground, Supremacy Changlong was basically unable to stand up anymore. Supremacy! You are an supremacy! Which supremacy are you? Autarch Changlong's face turned grim as well. A wind barrier appeared around him, covering him tightly. Supremacy Changlong already knew that this young man before him was an supremacy. What was even more outrageous was that he was a supremacy who used the sword. Could there be a second supremacy in Heavenly Sword Mountain? Why hadn't he received news of this? Supremacy Changlong finally understood why this young man had asked him about the Heaven Ascension token. This young man truly had the strength to do so. Are you still not planning on handing over the Heaven Ascension token? That was just the appetizer. I'm going to unleash my ultimate move soon. Lin Fei smiled calmly, not replying to Supremacy Changlong's question. Supremacy Changlong could not figure out when such an expert had appeared in Heavenly Sword Mountain, let alone an supremacy. The other party's sword intent contained the 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. That was the most terrifying thing about it. There was no way he could defend against it. Supremacy Changlong had never believed that anyone could cultivate all 5 elements, no, the 5 elements. Even the strongest of them all, Supremacy Xinghai, had only cultivated 2 elemental powers. That alone was enough to make him the strongest out of the 6 supremacies. Are you really planning on snatching the Heaven Ascension token from me? You'll incur the wrath of the public. Lin Fei walked over. To me, there's no such thing as wrath of the public. I'm only interested in this Heaven Ascension token. That sword earlier did not teach you a lesson. In that case, I'll have to send you another one. Explode. Lin Fei snorted softly. Supremacy Changlong's face instantly changed. He discovered that the 5 elements within his body had actually fused into one. Boom. A surge of power exploded within Supremacy Changlong's body. A myriad of sword intents shot out from his body. In the blink of an eye, Supreme Changlong was grievously wounded as he fell to his knees. You can actually guide the power of the 5 elements in my body? I'm convinced. Don't attack me. A single wave of the power of the 5 elements was more than Supremacy Changlong could endure. He was afraid that there would be a second wave of the power of the 5 elements. Even if he was a supreme being expert, he would not be able to withstand the attack of the second wave. This attack was simply too terrifying. It was so powerful that even he found it hard to withstand it. In any case, as long as you let me see the Heavenly Passage medallion, you can leave. Otherwise, if I can detonate it once, I can detonate it a second time. Unless you have the confidence to completely remove my 5 elements power in an instant, I don't think you have the ability to do so. I'm not trying to discourage you, this is the truth. Autark Changlong was feeling extremely vexed right now as well. Because the other party's words were indeed correct. He really couldn't withstand the second and third round of explosions. The main point was that the power of the 5 elements was too difficult to remove. They protected each other and formed a powerful force. Unless Supremacy Changlong was given a few days' time, there was no way he could dispel it at all. Even Supremacy Changlong was regretting coming out. Couldn't he just cultivate properly if he had nothing better to do? What the hell was he coming out for? And now, he was struck by the power of the 5 elements. Supremacy Changlong felt that if this news were to spread out in the Kunlun secret realm, the remaining Supremes would definitely be scared out of their wit. And Supremacy, who wielded the power of the 5 elements, had appeared. Zhao Chan, who was standing in the distance, had a look of unimaginable joy in her eyes as well. To think that she would be able to witness the power of the 5 elements in her lifetime. This was a top-tier power. Any single power would become extremely strong once it was cultivated to its limits. This was even more so when 5 different types of powers complemented each other. This was something that was absolutely horrifying. Supremacy Changlong was strong, right? But, to think that he would choose to lower his head after being struck by the power of the 5 elements. I'll give you the Heavenly Passage medallion right now. Sir, you must keep your word. Right now, the only thing Supremacy Changlong wanted to do was to leave this place before anything else. In truth, he did have some secret arts of his own. However, he had been struck by the power of the 5 elements earlier, and it had even seeped into his body, causing him to be at a disadvantage. Even though he did not know why the other party wanted to use the Heavenly Passage medallion, Supremacy Changlong felt that the other party would not be able to do anything about it for now. He might as well leave it on the other party first and retrieve it when the time came. Right now, escaping was the most important thing. He had to go ask that old antique for help. Supremacy Changlong took out the Heavenly Passage medallion and exerted some force in his hand, causing the Heavenly Passage medallion to fly over. Lin Fei made a grabbing motion, causing the Heavenly Passage medallion to land in his hand. Right now, Supremacy Changlong was extremely smart. He did not leave any tricks on the medallion. That's more like it. If you had handed this Heavenly Passage medallion to me from the start, you wouldn't have suffered so much. Alright, you can leave now. Of course, I welcome you to come back for revenge. Best if you can call the other Supremes over as well. Supremacy Changlong was no fool. Right now, what he needed to do was to recover from his injuries. First, he needed to recover from his injuries. That strike of the 5 elements had caused him to only be able to unleash 50% of his strength. This was an extremely dangerous thing to do. If others were to find out about this, then he, Supremacy Changlong, would be in grave danger. Don't think that all Supremes could sit back and relax. The 6 Supreme Beings were constantly fighting each other in the dark. Supremacy Changlong carefully left. He was extremely worried that this expert from Heavenly Sword Mountain would deal him a fatal blow. Even after returning to his manor and activating multiple formations, he still felt rather nervous. Only when he finally entered his private room did he finally let out a sigh of relief. Supremacy Lin, how could you let that person leave? Given his personality, he will definitely gather others to deal with you. Zhao Chan said. Lin Fei said in a very casual manner, do you think I'm someone who would worry about others taking revenge on me? You're overthinking things. Alright, thank you for helping me obtain this Heavenly Passage medallion. I'm a very straightforward person. Since you helped me with one thing, I'll help you with one thing. Remember, there's only one thing. As soon as the Heavenly Passage medallion landed in his hands, Lin Fei knew that it was the genuine Heavenly Passage medallion. The Tree of Life had reacted. He knew that Supremacy Changlong wouldn't dare to play any tricks. Zhao Qian was rather surprised as well. She suspected that she had misheard. To think that this Supremacy Lin Fei would actually help her with one thing. Zhao Qian truly did not expect him to help her with anything at all. Revealing the matter of the Heavenly Passage medallion was just a small matter. She believed that this senior Lin Fei would definitely know about it. She had never thought too much about it, but now this was truly a pleasant surprise. Chapter 43-55. Lin Fei was such a straightforward person. Since he had benefited from it, he had to share some with others. If not for this, he wouldn't have known about the existence of the Supreme Sky token. Although he would be able to dig it out sooner or later, it wouldn't be as fast as now. To Lin Fei, this matter wasn't a big deal. Now that he had obtained the second piece, he would be able to obtain all the Supreme Sky tokens in the Kunlun Mystic Realm. It was just a matter of time. Therefore, helping Zhao Qian with something wasn't a big deal. No one knew the cause and effect relationship better than Lin Fei. He didn't want to leave any consequences in the future because of this cause. Therefore, it was better to end this quickly. Outsiders didn't know what Lin Fei was thinking about. In any case, Zhao Qian was extremely excited. Even Supreme Changlong wasn't a match for Supreme Lin Fei. What about the others? One could imagine what the situation was like. Even now, Zhao Qian couldn't tell the depth of Lin Fei's strength. It was fine as long as he was stronger than Supreme Changlong. If she hadn't seen it with her own eyes, she wouldn't have believed it. Therefore, Zhao Qian didn't hesitate to speak up. I hope that Supreme can help us with a small matter. That is to escort my daughter to the 1,000 Yuan Mountain. Such a small request was really insignificant to Lin Fei. It also surprised Lin Fei a little. Lin Fei could tell that Zhao Qian was in big trouble. Perhaps it was the girl inside the box. As for what the girl was, Lin Fei couldn't tell. However, she definitely had some secret on her. Lin Fei didn't expect this small request to be so simple. Escort her to the 1,000 Yuan Mountain. It was really a very insignificant matter. At the very least, it was easy for Lin Fei to do it. Sovereign, my daughter has another identity, the reincarnated one. Previously, she went to the 1,000 Origin Mountain to completely awaken all of my daughter's memories and obtain the inheritance of her previous life. I'm afraid that there will be various sovereigns and even old monsters making a move. Zhao Qian didn't dare to hide anything now. She simply didn't say it out loud, afraid that Lin Fei would misunderstand. She is the reincarnated one. Of course, Lin Fei had heard of the reincarnators. One must know that he had taken one of the 3 soul jades, which allowed Xia Lin's strength to improve by leaps and bounds. She stepped into the door of a martial artist, and was now at the Xiantian realm. This situation was really a little coincidental. It was so coincidental that Lin Fei found it a little hard to accept. If that was the case, it would explain one thing. Why would Zhao Qian hide here? Why would she be so cautious after seeing Lu Yuan and himself? It was all because of this reincarnator. Sending it to the 1,000 Origin Mountain was no problem. In any case, it was a small matter. Yi Fan was also intending to absorb this Supreme Sky token and consolidate it properly. Therefore, he wasn't in a rush to do so. At the very least, he could let the Long Dragon Sovereign inform the other Supremes first. Lin Fei was prepared to cast a long line to catch a big fish. It would be best if he could lure the other supremacies over. That way, he wouldn't have to make a wasted trip. Actually, Supremacy Changlong wouldn't dare to look for trouble even if he had 100 guts. Who knew if Lin Fei was still here? Changlong was hiding in his mansion and didn't dare to come out. He would just focus on dispelling the 5 elemental energy in his body. Lin Fei brought Zhao Qian and left Changlong City. In order to not be noticed, They rented a carriage and placed the girl on it. She was a girl. Actually, she wasn't young anymore. She was already 18 years old. However, her physique was extremely weak. It seemed like she would collapse from a gust of wind. Her body was also emitting a cold aura. Everything couldn't get close to her. That kind of cold was bone-piercing, so cold that it reached deep into the bones. Anything that got close to this girl basically had no chance of survival. Only Zhao Chan, who was proficient in fire energy, could suppress this cold aura. As the cold aura got stronger and stronger, Zhao Chan also felt that it was rather strenuous. Zhao Chan was afraid that one day, she wouldn't be able to suppress it. With Lin Fei's escort, this matter was handed over to Lin Fei. He easily suppressed the cold aura. Sword intent enveloped the outside, isolating all the cold aura from leaking out. Even if a trace of it seeped in, it would be minced into pieces by the sword intent. It was rare for Lin Fei to study it. He was very sure that this person might really have the inheritor's memories. Because this girl's eyes weren't the eyes that an 18-year-old girl should have. It was a very complicated gaze. The girl didn't speak much. At least, that was what Lin Fei felt. Thousand Essence Mountain was south of Kunlun Mystic Realm. Over there was a world of ice and snow. These were the four great lands of Kunlun Mystic Realm. The land of spring, the land of summer, the land of autumn, and the land of winter. The place they were heading to now was the land of winter's Thousand Essence Mountain. As for how this climate was formed, Lin Fei didn't really care. It was just because there was a treasure here. As long as Lin Fei sent her to the Thousand Essence Mountain, he would end the cause and end the effect. This really wasn't a problem. It was fine as long as he felt at ease. Then, he wouldn't owe her anything. Along the way, he didn't face any trouble. Lin Fei successfully absorbed the sky connecting token, allowing his strength to recover by a large amount. The tree of life also grew lush. Although its height didn't increase by much, it had more leaves. Although it was still some distance away from the tree, there were already some signs of growth. Lin Fei felt that he had to continue to put in more effort. The tree of life still had a long way to go. He walked for about 6 to 7 days. A vast expanse of white world leaves appeared in front of him. Traces of coldness started to appear. Lin Fei knew that he had reached the land of winter and wasn't far from the Thousand Essence Mountain. Lord Supreme, that is the Thousand Essence Mountain, the most special mountain in Kunlun Mystic Realm. Other than Supremes, no one else can go up that Thousand Essence Mountain. Zhao Chan pointed to a faintly discernible snowy mountain in the distance. Such a snowy mountain was the most obvious in the land of winter, because it was the tallest snowy mountain. Lin Fei did see that snowy mountain. It was extremely majestic. There seemed to be black dots on the snowy mountain. There are people on the Thousand Essence Mountain? I'm not sure. Anyway, only Supremes can go up. Those below Supremes are still a lot weaker. If they go up, they will definitely die. Lin Fei had already sensed the abnormality of the land of winter. Then, is there a Supremes here? Lin Fei asked curiously. Lin Fei knew that there were 6 Supremes in the Kunlun Mystic Realm. Who knows, there might be 1 Supremes in this place. Bookseller House. Chapter 4356. Although the land of winter was unusual, to Lin Fei it wasn't a big deal. He just wanted to bring her over. He didn't really care whether she was a reincarnator or not. After all, if she really inherited the experience of her previous life, it would be impossible for her to suddenly increase her strength. If she could suddenly increase her strength, then it would be too amazing. At the very least, Lin Fei hadn't seen it before. Hence, Lin Fei leisurely brought her to the Thousand Origins Snow Mountain. There were indeed not many people in this area. The temperature here was also very low, and it was filled with coldness. This coldness would constantly seep into one's body and freeze one's flesh and blood. If there were no accidents, this place should be a land of death. Only such a land of death could prevent people from entering, and only a supreme being expert could withstand it. Zhao Chan's strength was quite good. Her fire attribute power was actually able to follow behind Lin Fei. However, her speed was a little slow. Lin Fei released a sword intent that enveloped Zhao Chan. The coldness was torn into pieces by the sword intent as soon as it came over. The sword intent seemed to be like spring, but the girl was indeed very comfortable. It was as if nothing had happened along the way. After walking for another day, they finally arrived at the foot of the Thousand Origins Snow Mountain. Standing at the foot of the snow mountain, Lin Fei finally saw clearly what the black spots were. They were actually caves. These caves were spread all over the snow mountain. At first glance, it seemed very strange. Lin Fei felt that this place was a little unusual. Supreme Sir, there is a cave at the top of the Thousand Origins Snow Mountain. That is our destination. Zhao Chan also raised her head to look. It was already quite good that she was able to take a breath and come this far. Then let's go up the mountain. Lin Fei continued to lead the way and walked towards the snow mountain. There were no roads on the Thousand Origins Snow Mountain. They just had to keep walking up, otherwise they wouldn't be able to go up at all. They also needed a lot of strength. Lin Fei led the way. The two behind him were much more relaxed. Along the way, Lin Fei found many traces of corpses. It seemed that many people had died in this place. Those caves were also very ordinary. There was nothing special about them. However, in Lin Fei's opinion, these caves were not as simple as he had imagined. If he guessed correctly, this place should have been a place for ascetic cultivation a long time ago. Only a place of ascetic cultivators would have so many caves. Moreover, ascetic cultivation in such a place would be of great help to improving one's strength. Lin Fei could see this. This place must have produced quite a number of experts in the past, said Lin Fei with a smile. After Zhao Chan heard this, she nodded her head repeatedly and said, "Yes, yes, yes. In the past, this place did produce many experts. I heard that this place was a holy land for cultivation. However, it was later abandoned. I heard that the people who came here to cultivate were not ordinary people. I think they were called ascetics or something." Lin Fei knew it would be like this. The Thousand Origins Snow Mountain was indeed different from what he had imagined. It was a holy land for ascetics. However, ascetics were too difficult to find. Not everyone could withstand that kind of loneliness. As for why the Thousand Origins Snow Mountain was abandoned, it was definitely because the ascetics on the Thousand Origins Snow Mountain had disappeared. Especially the most powerful one. Hence, this place became an ordinary Great Snow Mountain. Lin Fei felt that on this Thousand Origins Snow Mountain, it was still possible to find a corresponding expert. Because just now, Lin Fei had sensed a few auras. These auras were very strong. Even though they were well concealed, Lin Fei could more or less sense them. They must be around the Thousand Origins Snow Mountain. Lin Fei's first suspicion was that they were ascetics. This was because these ascetics would cultivate in their own desolate and uninhabited places. As soon as this thought arose, Lin Fei rejected it himself. Because among these auras, he sensed a rather familiar aura. The corners of his mouth rose slightly, and he couldn't help but smile. "We have to wait for a while. I met an acquaintance on this Thousand Origins Snow Mountain. I have to greet him. Otherwise, he will be very disappointed." Lin Fei made a slight turn on the originally straight road and headed to the left. Because the Thousand Origins Snow Mountain didn't have a specific path up the mountain. If you wanted to go up, you had to rely on yourself. You also needed strength to hold on. Hence, this change of path wasn't much to Lin Fei. Moreover, his sword intent enveloped the surroundings. Whether it was Zhao Chan or that girl, they walked very easily. If it was just the two of them, it would be a little troublesome. The world of ice and snow wasn't something ordinary warriors could go up. 8 or 10 of them would end up as corpses if they came up here. Ha 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 ha, Ancestor Thousand Shadows, so you also have such a difficult time. I thought your luck was still very good. I didn't expect you to have to come and beg us. Who said it wasn't? Ancestor Thousand Shadows, you really suffered a big loss this time. You were actually chased by 6 Supremes and escaped in the Kunlun mystic realm for an entire week. You can be considered impressive. When Lin Fei walked along the snow mountain, he heard a faintly discernible voice. It became infinitely magnified in Lin Fei's ears. He heard it clearly. There was indeed someone on the Thousand Origins snow mountain. This person's identity seemed to be similar to that acquaintance's position. Ancestor? This thought appeared in Lin Fei's mind. The acquaintance he met on this Thousand Origins snow mountain was none other than that ancestor Thousand Shadows. Even Lin Fei himself felt surprised. In this deep mountain, no, on the Great Snow Mountain, he could still meet ancestor Thousand Shadows. That fellow ran very fast last time, and he escaped alive. Lin Fei didn't expect to meet him so soon. From the looks of it, he still found a companion. To be able to become a companion, it was undoubtedly the ancestor. These fellows really knew how to play tricks. After dying for so long, they were still controlling the Kunlun mystic realm. Speaking of which, this Thousand Origins snow mountain was really a good place to hide. Because other warriors couldn't come up at all, unless they were Supremes. Even Supremes might not come. Who would be willing to come to such a desolate place? If they had the time, they might as well go into seclusion to repair it. Thousand Shadows, do you think that the reincarnator will come? You must know that Supremes Xing Hai spent a lot of effort to find this reincarnator. Is there really any use for us to wait here? This was a voice that wasn't very sure. The voice of primogenitor Qian Mo rang out. Don't worry, they will definitely come to the Thousand Origin Great Snow Mountain. We just need to wait here. No one understands them better than me. What is a sovereign? Chapter 43:57. Ancestral Founder Thousand Moons said proudly. He had calculated things accurately and there wouldn't be any accident. The other 3 also laughed. They still believed Ancestor Qian Mo's words because they were all on the same level. Old friend, you really know how to hide. You actually hid in the Thousand Origin Snow Mountain. If not for my good luck, I probably wouldn't have met you. All of a sudden, a voice rang out. The 4 of them quickly stood up and took a defensive stance. However, after Ancestor Qian Mo heard this, his expression suddenly changed and he stared coldly at one of the positions. This was the voice that Ancestor Qian Mo didn't want to hear the most. Ancestor Qian Mo felt that he must have heard wrong. That person couldn't possibly come here. Could it be that Lin Fei was willing to give up a place like the Divine Dragon's secret domain? That was a holy land for cultivation. No matter who cultivated there, they could get twice the results with half the effort. However, whatever Ancestor Qian Mo wanted came. A figure came in from the snow mountain. If it wasn't Lin Fei, who else could it be? There were also 2 women. Zhao Chan, she's Zhao Chan. The one behind her is the reincarnator. One of the skinny old men shouted. His gaze seemed to stare at the reincarnator behind Zhao Chan. After hearing this, the other people's gazes also changed. They didn't expect the reincarnator to come up herself. As for Zhao Chan, she was directly ignored. Qian Mo, you're the best. You actually got someone to bring the reincarnator here. A fat old man laughed. Ancestor Qian Mo had changed his appearance, but in front of Lin Fei, there was no change at all. He admired Ancestor Qian Mo's methods. He actually had such a backup plan. Why do you still dare to come here? Ancestor Qian Mo's pupils shrank. He was really afraid of this Lin Fei. At that time, he had summoned the powerful bone dragon, but he still couldn't kill Lin Fei. Instead, he was chased by the bone dragon. This was the most terrifying thing that Ancestor Qian Mo felt. Moreover, this guy had chased over. Ancestor Qian Mo only had this last body left. If he were to be destroyed again, he would be completely annihilated. Of course I'm here to find your old friend. Aren't you surprised? Why don't we hug first? Lin Fei laughed. The 3 old men saw the change in Ancestral Founder Thousand Darkness expression and felt a little strange. They could hear a trace of fear in Qian Mo's words. They didn't dare to believe it. When did Ancestor Thousand Motes become so timid? The guy in front of him looked very inconspicuous. However, it seemed that this guy was quite capable. They had never seen Primogenitor Thousand Moths attach so much importance to someone. Ancestor Thousand Moths didn't dare to fight with Lin Fei anymore. Previously, when he was chased by the 6 Supreme Beings, even though he managed to force them into retreat, he was still left with significant injuries. Even now, he had not fully recovered. If they were to really fight, he had no chance of winning. Whether or not he could escape alive was still an unknown. Hua! Ancestor Thousand Moths turned around and ran. Streaks of afterimages rushed out. This was one of his secret techniques. After all, he didn't have a body last time, but he had one this time. There were more than 10 of these afterimages, and every one of them headed in a direction. It was impossible to know which direction they were heading to. Ancestor Thousand Moths wanted to run? The 3 old men's hearts trembled. What was this? Could it be that this guy in front of him was really that powerful? Lin Fei snorted. I'm already here, so don't be in a hurry to leave. Let's at least exchange some insight. After all, you are considered a native of Kunlun Mystic Realm. So. Streaks of sword intent shot out and instantly destroyed these afterimages one by one. In the blink of an eye, only one afterimage of Ancestor Thousand Moths was left. Countless sword intents turned into a sword and instantly slashed on Ancestor Thousand Moths' body. Starlight Treasure Body, protect me. Ancestor Thousand Moths didn't dare to run anymore. He had seen this sword intent before. This sword intent wasn't a simple sword intent, but the 5 elements sword intent. Instantly, his treasure body flashed with light. His entire person was incomparably resplendent as he chose to take it head-on. Only then would he have a chance of not getting injured. Ancestral Founder Thousand Moths had underestimated Lin Fei's strength. He had heavily injured Lin Fei with a single slash. His body drew an arc in the air and slammed heavily into the rock wall. The rock wall was sturdy enough to begin with, but after this collision, cracks appeared on it, and countless pieces of rubble fell down. 5 elements sword intent. This is the 5 elements sword intent. The 3 old men's pupils constricted, and they subconsciously took a step back. They understood the strength of the 5 elements, and it wasn't something they could defend against. At this moment, they finally understood why Ancestor Thousand Moths was so afraid of him. Since when did such an expert appear in Kunlun Mystic Realm? More importantly, it was someone they didn't know. In that instant, they felt that they had been scammed by Ancestor Thousand Moth. He had brought a great enemy with him, and the enemy was very strong. The 3 of you should be on the same level as Ancestor Thousand Moth. I advise you to stand still. Lin Fei looked at the 3 old men calmly. To be able to stand together with Ancestor Thousand Moths, they were definitely close to the Ancestor's level. Their strength was on the same level as Ancestor Thousand Moth. Zhao Chan, who was standing at the back, took in a deep breath. She didn't know these people. When she heard the words Ancestor Thousand Moths, she was shocked. Looking at the 3 of them, could they be the old monsters hidden in Kunlun Mystic Realm? It was said that these fellows had been causing trouble. If it wasn't for the terrifying and dangerous aura on their bodies, Zhao Chan wouldn't be able to think about it. Zhao Chan really found it hard to think of this, because they were no different from ordinary old people outside. The moment they retracted their aura, even if they stood in front of you, Zhao Chan wouldn't be able to recognize them. Don't listen to this fellow's nonsense. Let's attack together. Otherwise, we will be in big trouble later. This fellow has occupied my divine dragon mystic realm, and he has his eyes on our Kunlun mystic realm. Ancestral Ancestor Thousand Moths roared, interrupting the 3's conjectures, and attacked Lin Fei. The 3 old men were shocked once again. One must know that the divine dragon mystic realm was a holy land for cultivation. Now that it was occupied by this brat, It was no wonder Ancestor Thousand Moths took the initiative to use this body. Previously they were still puzzled, but now they finally understood. They were the few old monsters who knew the most in Kunlun Mystic Realm. The entire Kunlun Mystic Realm didn't seem to have any secrets in front of them, and this was what made them feel the worst. If they were to ignore this matter, they might be in trouble. Attack. Bookseller House. Chapter 43-58. They listened to Ancestor Qian Mo's words. If they didn't attack now, then when Lin Fan attacked them, they wouldn't have a chance. So, without saying a word, all of them attacked. The few of them exploded with strength. The wind and snow in the sky started to swirl. The aura was unparalleled. Zhao Chan was a little worried, but shortly after, a sword-intent shield appeared in front of them, isolating them from all aura fluctuations. The girl's expression also changed slightly, and she looked at it very seriously. 5-element power, 5-element power. I didn't expect someone to be able to mix it to such a level. However, he isn't a 5-element body. A soft voice spread out from the girl's mouth. Zhao Chan heard everything clearly from the side, but she didn't say anything. Zhao Chan had long since become accustomed to such a situation. Out of the blue, he could hear some inexplicable word. I've already told you, don't attack, don't attack. Why won't you listen? Or are you deaf because you are old? Lin Fei shook his head in disappointment. Then, a giant storm swept out and instantly enveloped the few of them. The sky full of sword intents slashed over, one after another, attacking their bodies. Originally, their attacks had been linked together, but in the blink of an eye, their attacks were broken. Instead, they would have to face this impenetrable sword intent attack. There were too many of them. It was boundless. The important thing was the 5-element sword intent, 5 types of power. Qian Mo, you bastard. This time you conned us. This fellow's 5-element sword intent is much stronger than we thought. We are finished. We definitely can't take it anymore. He actually used his ultimate move. At least fight first. No, we can't take it anymore. Ancestor Qian Mo, where did you offend such a strong enemy? As old monsters, they were really strong. But in the face of this huge storm, he still felt a huge deterrent. Power exploded from their bodies layer by layer, but the sword formation's strength increased too. There was no way they could break it. Apart from blocking, they could only block. They couldn't find any time to counterattack at all. If it was a short period of time, they could still take it. But if it was a long time, they would find it unbearable. Friend, let's talk this out. We are famous people after all. The skinny old man spoke. After that, a beam of sword light exploded in front of them. The entire world turned into a sheet of white light. Not good, this guy is using his killer move again. After the white light, everyone let out a muffled groan. He stood on the snow, but his body was trembling. Blood flowed from the corners of their mouths and dripped onto the snow like plum blossoms. You're all so old, I'm not interested in chatting with you. I told you to stand there obediently, so stand there obediently. The 5 elements sword will transformed into a huge mountain and instantly pressed down. It was formed by boundless and pure sword will, but to these few people, they could feel the immense aura of death. A mountain of swords suppressed them. In terms of secret techniques and means, how could they be a match for Lin Fei? Right now, Lin Fei's strength was rapidly recovering with every passing second. All of you should be glad that you still have some strength, otherwise, my sword mountain would have killed all of you. More and more sword wounds appeared on their bodies, covering their entire bodies. Only they could experience the terrifying might of that mountain of swords smashing down just now. Just as the other party had said, if it wasn't for the fact that the other party saw that they were quite strong, they might have really been killed by that move just now. After all, this was the 5 elements power. 5 types of powers exploding together wasn't easy to block. They were so frightened that they didn't dare to move. They didn't even dare to take pills. They were afraid that they would be killed if they did anything. This was a true expert. Ancestor Chien Mo was also covered in wounds. He was the one with the most serious injuries. With a plop, he knelt on the snow. Senior Lin, please spare me. As long as you let me off, I will agree to anything you want me to do. At this moment, Ancestor Chien Mo really panicked. All of them were really strong, but they didn't expect that Lin Fei was stronger than them. The moment he used the 5-element sword will, they couldn't breathe at all. Who knew how many times stronger he was than them? He had exceeded foundation building. The remaining 3 old men all knelt down. If they didn't beg for mercy, who knew when they would be finished? It wasn't easy to live to such an old age. On this trip to the Kunlun mystic realm, Lin Fei was actually here to seek out some secret. He didn't expect to find such a good thing like the heaven connecting token, so he showed mercy just now. He couldn't personally take action for something like the heaven connecting token. Luckily, these few people were strong enough to be his fighters. Their status in Kunlun's secret realm was just that in Lin Fei's eyes. He was already quite old. He had more or less used some methods, but it was not so easy to break through to the core condensation realm from the foundation establishment realm. These fellows were actually all false core condensation expert. It wasn't easy to go from fake core formation to true core formation. These people didn't have that ability at all. However, their strength was still solid. It was all thanks to the Tree of Life that Lin Fei had a big move to use. If it was like before, he would have a headache facing these old monsters. Although his physical body was invincible, he was still a little lacking. All of you know how to beg for mercy. Just now, you even knew how to attack. Don't think that just because you are old that you can rely on your seniority. A streak of sword will swept their bodies like a streak of light. It sent them flying and they smashed into the walls. All of them were in a sorry state. In the end, they climbed up once more and knelt on the snow. At this moment, they didn't have the high spirits from before. It is still the same sentence. All of you should be thankful that your strength is still okay. Otherwise, all of you would have died just now. People with some strength are still useful. I am still lacking a few fighters, so you guys are good. This was the first time they realized that there were some benefits to having high strength. At the very least, their strength allowed them to keep their lives. One secret technique caused them to suffer heavy injuries. If he used a few more, they wouldn't be able to live at all. I am willing to be a fighter, I am willing. Ancestor Chien Mo was the first to kowtow. The others also began to kowtow non-stop. They were afraid that Lin Fei would only choose 1 or 2 of them. What about the rest? They didn't dare to think about it. Chapter 43:59. After taking them down, things became simple. Lin Fei directly placed restrictions on their bodies. Now that his strength had recovered, he could finally place restrictions. This restriction method was very ancient, and it was not something they could break at all. They might have temporarily submitted, but in truth, they had their own plans. They didn't expect that once the restrictions were placed, they would regret it. They didn't even have a place to cry. That was because this restriction was not an ordinary restriction, but an ancient restriction technique. They couldn't imagine where Lin Fei learned this restriction from. Could it be that this person in front of him was also an old monster? Unfortunately, it was too late. They didn't have the ability to break this restriction. This is my restriction. I think all of you should have had a taste of it. This is just the first stage. Lin Fei had indeed allowed them to experience the methods of the restriction. As expected, it was no different from flying. It wasn't something they could handle. Apart from pain, it was more pain. Then, tell me what secrets there are on 1000 Essence Snow Mountain. I think all of you should be clear about it, right? Lin Fei looked towards Ancestor Thousand Darkness. Ancestor Thousand Darkness said, I will say everything. There is a reincarnation pool on 1000 Essence Snow Mountain. I heard that any reincarnator can obtain an inheritance and activate their memories. Lin Fei didn't really believe it. In his eyes, Kunlun's secret realm wasn't that high. These methods couldn't have been left behind. Our Kunlun's secret realm is actually a prison. It's used to exile those sinners. I heard that the reincarnation pool can allow people to reincarnate. What kind of people came down from? Ancestor Qian Mo quickly added. This wasn't the first time Lin Fei heard this. We also heard that reincarnators came from another place. They are used to monitor our Kunlun's secret realm. The skinny old man said. The other three nodded their heads. Lin Fei already knew where the three of them came from. He also knew their names. The skinny old man was called Ancestor Mu Shi. Are you sure what you said is true? Lin Fei asked calmly. We are already in such a state. How would we dare to lie to you? 200 years ago, there was still a controller in our Kunlun's secret realm. It was just that the controller was killed by the experts of our Kunlun's secret realm. That's why there was peace after that. This time, the one who spoke was a short old man. He was called Ancestor 3 Yuan. It was Lin Fei's first time hearing about these secrets. But I heard that the reincarnators were found by Autarch Xinghai after much difficulty. How did they get involved with the controller? Sir, let me talk to you instead. Ancestor Thousand Motes hurriedly wanted to show off. The other three progenitors hated him to the bone. If he didn't leave a good impression in front of Lin Fei, his days would be miserable. They were all controlled by Lin Fei, so he felt that there was nothing to worry about. It was hard to guarantee that the three of them wouldn't secretly deal with him, Ancestral Founder Thousand Moths. Since he had lost his freedom, it would be easy for them to secretly deal with him. As for whether or not Lin Fei would pay attention to it, that was another matter. Tell me about it. Lin Fei listened unhurriedly. The entire process wasn't long, but he understood the ins and outs. Ancestral Founder Thousand Motes indeed had a deeper understanding. In Lin Fei's eyes, this was the true secret of the Kunlun's secret realm. Autarch Xinghai is actually just their lackey. Not every reincarnator can reincarnate successfully. But every time they reincarnate, there will be a chance to contact the higher-up. Ancestral Founder Thousand Motes added. For example, this reincarnator is the first one in the past 50 years. It has been a long time since one has appeared. That's why Autarch Xinghai is so anxious. Don't be fooled by his words. In reality, we all know what he's thinking. Ancestor Mu Shi also added. His face was filled with hatred. Lin Fei was a little surprised. Since you guys are so strong, why don't you go and kill this Autarch Xinghai? At the very least, you don't have to worry about the Kunlun's secret realm coming up again. Ancestral Founder Thousand Motes laughed bitterly. Sir, if we could kill Autarch Xinghai, we would have done so long ago. That fella isn't simple. Don't be fooled by how he is usually outside. In reality, that's just a clone. He has a main body and a clone. He cultivated a powerful clone technique. No, it should be a primordial spirit technique. It's impossible to kill him. When Lin Fei heard this, he was a little surprised. There was actually someone who knew this primordial spirit technique. The other party had cultivated a primordial spirit clone and a main body. Autarch Xinghai's main body is hidden in his palace. That palace is reinforced by a peak-grade array. It's not that we old monsters haven't entered before. However, the moment we entered his palace, we would be affected by the array. Our strength would be suppressed by 30 to 50%. Moreover, Autarch Xinghai's strength would increase explosively. We can't defeat him at all. The three ancestral founders also laughed bitterly. From then on, we didn't dare to fight with Autarch Xinghai anymore. Not many people know about this secret. Only the few of us old fogies know about it. In Lin Fei's opinion, the strength of these few people was still decent. If they really wanted to kill a Autarch, it would be more than enough. After all, they were all Foundation establishment experts. Autarch Xinghai was also very strong. However, compared to them, he was still quite a bit weaker. Lin Fei didn't expect that there would be such a secret hidden here. Lin Fei's gaze also turned to the girl. Doesn't that mean that this girl is the one who was captured by the higher-ups? The few of them nodded their heads in agreement. That's why we decided to ambush them here. When they start to reincarnate, we'll destroy them. The Kunlun's secret ground mustn't have a controller anymore. Lin Fei hadn't expected that there would be such a secret behind this. At the very least, he understood the entire process now. A long time ago, there was indeed a controller in the Kunlun's secret ground. They controlled the Kunlun's secret ground. But later on, this controller was killed, and the people of the Kunlun's secret ground took over. But 200 years later, there were people who wanted to contact the higher-ups again. Lin Fei couldn't guess that it was because they couldn't break through their cultivation states anymore. Therefore, some people had different ideas, and this autarch Xinghai was one of them. Perhaps this was what the primordial spirit clone technique was all about. To Lin Fei, it might seem ordinary, but in the eyes of these ancestral founders, it was definitely something of a high grade. Lin Fei felt that this Kunlun's secret ground was getting more and more interesting. In that case, you guys should know that since this Kunlun's secret ground is valued by someone, there must be a secret about it. I wonder if you guys know about it, or if you guys are just guessing. Bookseller's Reading Website. Chapter 4360. Ancestor Qian Mo and the rest shook their heads, indicating that they weren't too sure about this. It seems like there's something important in this Kunlun mystery region. However, we aren't too sure about the specifics. However, Supreme Xinghai should know something. This was what Thousand Motes said in the end. It was as if he didn't say anything. Then I'll go to the Thousand Origin Snow Mountain to find out more. Knowing that he wouldn't be able to get any information from Ancestor Qian, Mo and the rest, he might as well go to the peak of the Thousand Origin Snow Mountain. There's someone guarding the peak of the Thousand Origin Snow Mountain. Do you know who he is? Lin Fei looked at the three of them, Ancestor Qian Mo. They nodded their heads. The person guarding the Thousand Origin Snow Mountain is called Qian Yuanzi. He's a very mysterious fellow. He's not a human, but a special puppet. It's said that he was placed here by someone from the other side. No one has ever been able to defeat this puppet. Puppet living being. Lin Fei felt that this was rather interesting. That's right, it seems to be a puppet creature. However, this puppet creature is very powerful. We've tried it before in the past, but we were no match for it. However, this puppet creature seems to be confined to the Thousand Origin Great Snow Mountain, unable to come out. Lin Fei was interested to see a puppet on the Thousand Origin Snow Mountain. Then let's go take a look. What's Qian Yuanzi's background? I hope he can give me some good information. As Lin Fei spoke, he walked out. Ancestor Qian Mo and the rest followed. Lord Supreme, you won't do anything to her, right? Zhao Chan asked worriedly. Lin Fei said indifferently, don't worry. I'm not like Supreme Xinghai and the rest. Since she's qualified to receive the inheritance, I'll naturally let her receive the corresponding inheritance. When Lin Fei finished speaking, the girl said faintly, I hope to become the real me and not another me. On the girl's face, Lin Fei saw a very determined expression. I hope that Lord Supreme Zun can help me. In my mind, there should be secrets regarding this Kunlun secret realm. As long as you can help me, I will tell you everything, the girl said very seriously. Lin Fei could feel a trace of nervousness and uneasiness from the girl. Just now, Lin Fei's strength was absolutely formidable. Ancestral founder Thousand Moths and the other two forefathers were completely defeated. Young lady, you're quite smart to know to beg me. Since you've said so, don't worry, I'll definitely fulfill your wish. Lin Fei turned and walked towards the Thousand Origin Great Snow Mountain. This time, with the protection of Ancestor Thousand Moths and the others, Zhao Chan and the girl walked much faster. Go up. The stronger the snowstorm, the stronger it was. It wasn't something an ordinary person could come up to. Even a Supreme Being expert would feel a lot of pressure. They walked for 2 hours. Finally, he reached the peak. There was a palace at the top of the mountain. The palace wasn't very big, but it was very dignified. Outside the palace, Lin Fei saw 3 words: Thousand Origin Palace. These 3 words were full of spirit energy and had a special power. Seeing these 3 words, Lin Fei frowned slightly. He could actually feel a powerful spiritual power from these 3 words. It seemed like this Qian Yuanzi inside was getting more and more interesting. Ancestral Founder Thousand Moths and the others directly pushed open the door. A loud rumbling sound could be heard, as though a huge mountain had been pushed open. Lin Fei walked in. Outside was a world of ice and snow, but inside it was very warm. It was completely different from the outside. It was completely different from the palace he had imagined. After entering, it was very spacious inside. Apart from the huge pillars, there was nothing else. But in the center, there was a tumbling pool. At the side of the pool stood a statue-like existence. Lord, that's Qian Yuanzi. As long as anyone gets close to the reincarnation pool, he will immediately be activated. As long as one isn't a reincarnator, they will be attacked by him. When Ancestral Founder Thousand Moths mentioned this Qian Yuanzi, he was still somewhat fearful. Clearly, he had suffered quite a bit at this fellow's hands in the past. Lin Fei looked over and did not feel any aura from this Qian Yuanzi. If not for Ancestral Founder Thousand Moths mentioning it, ordinary people would not be able to detect that this was a puppet. From the first glance, Lin Fei knew that this puppet was definitely a top-notch puppet. It was not something that ordinary puppets could compare to. This was from the hands of a big shot. To be able to use such a puppet to guard the reincarnation pool, it was indeed quite a feat. More importantly, Lin Fei also sensed a powerful array formation aura inside. If there was no accident, this array formation was used to strengthen this Qian Yuanzi. Qian Yuanzi's strength was already very strong. If he added on the array formation support, it would be unimaginable. No wonder Ancestral Founder Thousand Moths and the others were not a match for him. With this kind of array formation and Qian Yuanzi puppet, even if a few more people of their level came, they would not be a match for Qian Yuanzi. After a few decades, someone has come to Thousand Yuanzi Palace again. Without any warning, the motionless Qian Yuanzi puppet actually moved and let out a cold voice. This voice was like 2 stones rubbing against each other. It was abnormally cold and piercing. Ancestral Founder Thousand Moths and the others secretly raised their guards and took a deep breath at the same time. However, they were still rather relaxed this time. After all, they had Lin Fei, who was even stronger than them, behind them. His strength was unfathomable. Just like that, Qian Yuanzi puppet turned its head, revealing a cold face. There was no trace of emotion on its face. There was only a cold killing intent. Even before you attacked, you felt that you would definitely be killed by the other party. This was a ridiculous feeling, but Qian Yuanzi really did have such an aura. After Qian Yuanzi turned around, Lin Fei frowned slightly. He had somewhat underestimated this puppet's strength. Who was Lin Fei? He was an immortal rank existence from another world. What had he not seen? He knew this puppet's strength at first glance. It could be seen that the refining method was also very extraordinary. Not bad, you actually brought another reincarnator. Let me see what fate has come from above this time. It's been a long time since I received an order. Qian Yuanzi puppet moved, coming over like a beam of light. Ancestral Founder Thousand Moths and the others instantly blocked in front of it. A beam of light instantly exploded in front of them. Voila! Ancestral Founder Thousand Moths and the others were directly blasted away. I haven't seen you for many years. Your strength still hasn't improved at all. Instead, you've become much weaker. Trash among trash. Before they even attacked, Ancestral Founder Thousand Moths and the others were already defeated. Voila! A wave of sword intent blocked in front of them. Chapter 4361. A shield of sword intent appeared, blocking it completely. At the very least, Ancestor Thousand Moths and the others heaved a sigh of relief. They had still underestimated the strength of the Qian Yuanzi puppet. It was actually so strong. With this fellow overseeing this place, no one could do anything to it. As expected, it was a great expert. So there's an expert like you here. No wonder these fellows all listen to you. Interesting, interesting. The Qian Yuanzi puppet snorted and instantly appeared in front of Lin Fei, spear images filling the sky. So this Qian Yuanzi puppet used a spear. The spear was completely golden and refined from special materials. It was naturally incomparably hard and extremely sharp, able to easily pierce through anything. Bang, 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 bang. Like raindrops, cold light constantly flashed in front of Lin Fei. However, there was always a layer of sword intent in front of Lin Fei. When the sword intent was broken, another layer would immediately replace it. It wasn't easy for you to come here. There's no need to fight like this. Can't we just have a nice chat? I'm quite interested in your background. Lin Fei had a faint smile on his face. The spear images that filled the sky suddenly gathered together, transforming into a huge speck of light that exploded in front of Lin Fei. It was like a flood, vast and boundless, exploding with resplendent power. Lin Fei was as unmoving as a mountain. He still used the sword intent to block in front of him, resisting the might of the Qian Yuanzi puppet spear. In a short period of time, the Qian Yuanzi puppet had attacked hundreds of times before returning to its original position. You're also a sword intent expert. No wonder you dare to come to the Thousand Origin Hall. The Qian Yuanzi puppet didn't attack again. It only sized up the young man in front of it. There was no change in its expression. It was still as cold as ever, causing one's hair to stand on end. I'm a sword expert. This should be somewhat out of your expectations, but your strength also surprised me. I didn't expect there to be an expert like you on the Thousand Origin Great Snow Mountain. Ancestral Founder Thousand Moths and the others all retreated. They were all injured. That power just now let them know the difference between them. After so many years, Qian Yuanzi had actually become stronger than them. If it weren't for Lin Fei, they would probably have been killed by Qian Yuanzi. Previously, they had planned to come here to take advantage of the situation. But now, it seemed that they had been thinking too much. They had only managed to survive by accident. Seeing that your strength is not bad, submit to me and work for me. I can let you go even further. After all, with your strength, it would be a pity for you to remain at this level, said Qian Yuanzi. You actually know how to recruit others? Looks like you're having a hard time here. However, if you want to recruit me, it will be quite difficult. Why don't I recruit you instead? Lin Fei smiled. For example, if I let you leave the Thousand Origin Mountain and let you regain your freedom, what do you think? From what you're saying, it seems like you don't intend to submit to me. In that case, I can only kill you here. Qian Yuanzi rushed over again. But compared to the previous time, his aura was much stronger this time around. A gigantic formation was activated slowly, causing everyone to feel an immense pressure. This fella sure is smart. To think that he knows to activate the formation and raise his strength. A gigantic spear shadow entered Lin Fei's vision. Compared to before, it was more than 70 to 80% stronger. Under this spear, a supreme being would definitely die. By now, Qian Yuanzi's strength had increased tremendously. He had already broken through the foundation establishment stage and reached the core formation stage. Qian Yuanzi's strength was no longer as simple as before. Anyone who met him would die. It was as simple as that. Lin Fei's body was still filled with sword will as he stood in front of Qian Yuanzi. Even if you've raised your strength and broken through the foundation establishment stage, it's still the same. Lin Fei said indifferently, breaking you is as easy as flipping my palm. Walala walala. A series of sword wills turned into sword threads and coiled around Lin Fan. They were incomparably tough. Under Qian Yuanzi's attack, although a lot of the sword threads were broken, a large portion of them still couldn't be broken. They coiled around Lin Fan. Lin Fan's left arm, left thigh, all of them were coiled around by the sword threads. Initially, Lin Fan didn't feel much when the sword threads coiled around him. However, as the number of sword threads increased, Qian Yuanzi's speed started to slow down. Qian Yuanzi's speed also started to slow down, and even his hands seemed to be restrained. Do you think that you can restrain me with just these sword threads? You're smart, but you're thinking too much. A ball of green flame appeared on Qian Yuanzi's body. This flame was extremely hot. Even Ancestor Qian Mo and the others subconsciously retreated. It was as though they would be vaporized if they got any closer. Looks like this puppet of yours is quite capable. It even has pill fire. This pill fire can break any technique. Lin Fei glanced at it and wasn't surprised. Even if you have pill fire, it's still useless. Why don't you give it a try? The flame instantly enveloped all the sword threads. The pill fire crackled as it burned the sword threads. Under normal circumstances, the sword threads would have long been broken. However, no matter how the pill fire burned, it was still fine. On the other hand, the sword threads continued to coil around Qian Yuanzi's body. The more they coiled, the more they coiled. His entire body was like a spider web. This time, Qian Yuanzi started to panic. The voice also changed slightly. What kind of sword threads are these? Qian Yuanzi didn't expect the sword threads to be so strong. Even the pill fire couldn't destroy them. One must know that the pill fire was one of his trump cards. With the support of the formation, any technique could be broken. In fact, the moment the pill fire was released, it could easily burn someone to death. I'm starting to panic. Unfortunately, it's too late. The sword threads were still coiling around Qian Yuanzi's body. The pill fire burned even more fiercely. However, Qian Yuanzi couldn't break the sword threads. I know. This is the 5 elemental sword threads. Only the 5 elemental sword threads can block the might of the pill fire. You're actually a 5 elemental expert. Qian Yuanzi, who was struggling, suddenly screamed. It's impossible for a 5 elemental expert to appear in the Kunlun secret realm. Nothing's impossible. Isn't it just a 5 elemental expert? The combination of 5 types of energy will only make one's strength stronger. What does it count for? Lin Fei strode over and a sword light swept across Qian Yuanzi's puppet, sending it flying. Qian Yuanzi was smashed into the ground. The ground was extremely hard. There wasn't even a crack on it. This time, Qian Yuanzi couldn't even stand up. The sword threads had completely trapped him. Chapter 4362. Lin Fei's sword silk wasn't that easy to break. This was the 5 elements sword silk, a special sword silk formed from the combination of 5 different powers. If Emowuji's pill fire was so easy to break, then the 5 elements sword silk wouldn't be so terrifying. It easily broke Qian Yuanzi's technique. Lin Fei's sword intent instantly bombarded Qian Yuanzi's body like a meteor shower. In the blink of an eye, Qian Yuanzi lost the ability to resist. Even if you have the chance to attack, you probably won't be able to unleash your full strength. After all, you're just a puppet. The sword intent bombarded Qian Yuanzi's body, directly forming a seal in his body. A seal formed by sword intent. You actually have such a technique. Qian Yuanzi didn't struggle anymore. He knew that it was useless. The sword silk on his body couldn't be broken, and the source of his power was sealed by sword intent. He had never seen such a sealing technique before. Could it be that you also came from that place? That's impossible. A living person can't come from that place. Lin Fei walked over and smiled. Looks like you know quite a lot. From his words, Lin Fei knew that he definitely knew more secret. You want me to tell you these secrets? That's impossible, Qian Yuanzi said coldly. Lin Fei wasn't anxious. I know what you're thinking. Isn't it just sealing these memories? That's easy. When the time comes, I'll just break it and grab it myself. I have quite a few techniques. Lin Fei's strength was constantly recovering, and he could use many sacred arts. He really didn't care about a puppet's technique. "Let me see just what kind of secrets you have," Wang Zhong said coldly. Lin Fei's pupils suddenly turned black and white as he stared at Qian Yuanzi. How could Qian Yuanzi resist? In an instant, he lost the ability to move. A strand of divine sense directly entered the depths of Qian Yuanzi's sea of consciousness. Compared to a human sea of consciousness, Qian Yuanzi's sea of consciousness was empty. This was the reason why he was a puppet. In the depths of his sea of consciousness, Lin Fei finally discovered a seal. Just as Lin Fei had imagined, the power of this seal sealed the puppet's memories. As long as this seal was touched, the sealed memories would be completely destroyed. This was definitely left behind by an expert. This seal was very special, but Lin Fei didn't care much about it. He didn't break the seal by force. Instead, he opened a hole in the seal. It seemed to be a very difficult thing to do, but it was very easy for Lin Fei. It only took him a bit of effort to solve it. This technique was called the seal-breaking technique. Not only could it break seals, it could also break restrictions. Fortunately, this seal was not very strong, so Lin Fei easily broke it without disturbing the seal left on it. After the seal was broken, Lin Fei directly searched these memories. It felt like only a moment had passed. In reality, it was just like that. Qian Yuanzi had also returned to normal. Just give up. Even if you came from that place, don't even think about obtaining my memories. Qian Yuanzi, who had recovered, didn't even think that his seal had been broken. It just hadn't completely collapsed. "Thank you for bringing me so many secrets." Lin Fei smiled. "You've been guarding here for so long. It's time for you to rest." This puppet was very powerful, but Lin Fei had already obtained all the memories of the puppet. He also knew the methods left behind on the puppet. It was impossible to control, and this was just a nail left behind by those people. He raised his hand and a sword intent slammed into Qian Yuanzi's forehead. A puppet master collapsed in an instant. After a burst of green smoke, it disappeared without a trace. The outer shell of the puppet was unable to withstand the attack from the inside. Ancestral founder Qian Mo and the others widened their eyes. The expert puppet that they couldn't defeat was destroyed just like that. "All right, the problem has been solved." Lin Fei turned back and laughed. "Now it's my turn to help you." Lin Fei had already completely read the memories of the puppet. It was just as he had imagined. This Kunlun secret realm was really not ordinary. The girl walked over. "There's another soul in your body now. However, this soul isn't complete. This reincarnation pool can only summon half of the remaining soul. That's why you need to come to the reincarnation pool and fuse the two souls together. However, I'll kill him later and give the remaining benefits to you." Since Lin Fei had already figured out the reason, he naturally didn't care about it anymore. To this girl, this was an opportunity. As for how far she could go in the future, that was up to her. "Thank you, Lord Supreme." Lin Fei arrived at the reincarnation pool. The reincarnation pool contained a special energy. At the very least, the God Tree of Life within Lin Fei's body was starting to move. However, Lin Fei suppressed it. If the God Tree of Life were to make a move, it would definitely suck everything clean. There wouldn't be much left. However, it wasn't the time yet. He was rather interested in those fellows. If he could get a clearer understanding of them, that would be for the best. "Rise." Lin Fei let out a low voice. He formed a seal with both hands and activated the reincarnation pool. After obtaining all the memories, everything was under Lin Fei's control. Activating the reincarnation pool wasn't difficult at all. A mysterious aura emanated from the reincarnation pool, following which a white fog appeared. The moment the white fog appeared, the girl could feel that something was different. "Don't struggle now. I'll guide you." Lin Fei waved his hand. The girl was slowly guided over and landed on the reincarnation pool. The white fog hovered above the girl's head. At the same time, a door slowly opened. The door wasn't big. However, it exuded an unfathomable aura. Lin Fei placed a finger on the girl's forehead. "Come out." A chill spread throughout the Thousand Origin Hall. The ground was covered in a layer of frost. It was bone-chilling and unbearable. The girl slowly opened her eyes, and a chill shot up to the sky. "I can finally leave that damned place." A cold voice rang out. However, the girl had changed completely. A chill enveloped her. Her gaze instantly locked onto Lin Fei. "You actually destroyed Thousand Origin Hall," the girl said coldly. "I know you saw it clearly. I'll give you a chance. Summon the other half of your soul. Otherwise, I'll destroy it right now," Lin Fei said calmly. Chapter 4363. Half of the soul could see everything clearly. The Qian Yuanzi puppet was guarding the Thousand Origin Snow Mountain. Naturally, it had its purpose. That was to protect the reincarnation pool. However, it didn't expect that it wouldn't be able to protect the reincarnation pool. Even it was turned to dust. This was what the young man in front of it did. Since when did such an expert appear in Kunlun's secret realm? To this soul, he didn't really care. So what if Kunlun's secret realm's experts were stronger? In front of him, they would still be defeated. "Looks like you're quite confident in your own strength. Then, I'll fulfill your wish and let you see what true strength is." The cold voice carried a trace of coldness. A heart-palpitating aura came from the other end of the tunnel. Lin Fei didn't stop it from the start, allowing it to fuse with this soul. The soul fusion didn't take long. Instead, Ancestor Qian Mo and the rest sucked in a breath of cold air. This was the first time they saw a soul fusing together. That powerful feeling, just the aura alone, was enough to make them unable to move. Originally, they thought they were very strong. Only now did they know that in front of these existences, they were indeed too weak. They could kill them easily. To think that they wanted to ambush them here. They were simply thinking too much. Zhao Qian also sucked in a breath of cold air. She was more worried than anyone else. When this soul fused together again, the powerful aura became even thicker and more oppressive. As the girl waved her hand lightly, the entire hall instantly turned into a world of ice and snow. Not only that, the entire hall was swept up by wind and snow. It was bone-chilling. The entire place seemed to have become another world. "You can call me Ice Goddess now." Ice Goddess' face was very cold, without a trace of blood. This aura was abnormally strong. Far stronger than Ancestor Qian, Mo and the rest. Just casually releasing her aura was enough to make everyone unable to breathe. "You're quite famous." Lin Fei smiled. At this moment, Ice Goddess' strength was indeed unimaginably strong. She even cultivated the power of ice. Even if it was ancestral founder Thousand Moons, they would probably be instantly frozen into an ice sculpture and killed before they could even make a move. "Looks like if I don't show you, you'll never know the power of the Outer Realm Masters." The Ice Goddess waved her hand, and in an instant, a chill enveloped Lin Fei. Lin Fei was covered in ice. The attack came so fast that no one could resist at all. They were directly frozen. "You can't even withstand my seal, and you still have the nerve to pretend to be strong in front of me." "Gotcha! Gotcha!" The ice sculpture cracked in an instant. A faint smile hung on Lin Fei's lips. "Your ice sculpture is indeed quite strong, but it's still lacking in strength." The Ice Goddess waved her hand again, and wave after wave of chilling intent enveloped them. But this time, there was no way to seal Lin Fei. Streaks of sword will swept out, completely slicing apart the frozen power, unable to form a ball. "Your strength is still a little weak. Looks like this Kunlun secret realm is indeed famous, but your strength is only SOSO. In that case, there's no need for me to waste any more time with you. I might as well take you down and check it out myself," Lin Fei said indifferently. He raised his hand and grabbed. His fingers were like a mountain, and like a moon in the water, it instantly landed on the Ice Goddess. The Ice Goddess was not so easy to deal with. Although she knew that this person was strong, His strength was a little too much. An ice lotus floated above her head, blocking in front of Lin Fei's palm. Lin Fei's strength wasn't that simple. He pressed down, and kacha, the lotus was instantly torn apart. The ice goddess suddenly panicked. This was the strongest treasure she had brought down, and it could be used for both offense and defense. But in front of this huge hand, it could not unleash its strength. With this grab, the entire void seemed to be sealed. The power of ice couldn't affect this hand at all. The huge hand grabbed down, grabbing onto the ice goddess's neck and lifting her up. I don't hit women, but someone like you is already an old woman, so there's no need to care. Lin Fei carried the woman with one hand and repeatedly punched the ground. The entire ground gave off a loud sound. It was no different from an earthquake. Now you can scram out. Lin Fei slapped the girl's body. A gentle energy surged into her body. A white-haired figure appeared above the girl's head. But this figure was a spirit body. With a single palm strike, Lin Fei managed to force the spirit body out of his body. As soon as the spirit body came out, the other hand directly grabbed onto the spirit body. Impossible, there can't be such an expert in the Kunlun secret realm. The white-haired spirit body instantly fled. He was absolutely terrified. Kunlun's secret realm didn't have any experts or treasures, but such an expert just had to appear. If she was just a physical body, then everything would be fine. But now that she was just a spirit body, it would be easy for him to kill her. She really regretted it. No matter how fast the spirit body ran, how could she be faster than Lin Fei? His large hand grabbed her in his palm and gently squeezed. The white spirit body was in a terrible state, her entire body had shrunk. "Senior, please spare me." Lin Fei stretched his hand back. He opened his palm, only to see that the white spirit body had become extremely weak. That gentle squeeze just now had caused the spirit body's strength to evaporate completely. If Lin Fei had not been merciful, the spirit body would have been completely annihilated. "You came from the outside world, and still dare to put on airs here. I really don't know what is going on in your head." Lin Fei shook his head. After executing the soul-searching technique, he couldn't be bothered to say anything else. Lin Fei's soul-searching technique was extremely domineering, directly searching through this ice goddess sea of consciousness. There was a seal in this spirit body as well. Lin Fei didn't mind it. He easily obtained all the memories with ease. The information left behind by the 1000 UNZ puppet was outdated, but the memories brought by this ice goddess were real. It was just that the amount of information was a little too much, causing Lin Fei to be surprised. At the same time, he finally understood what was so important in the Kunlun secret realm. It seemed like this Kunlun secret realm was going to be lively. Of course, Lin Fei loved a lively scene. Such an opportunity was rare. Luckily, he managed to make it in time. Fortunately, this spirit body came down as well, otherwise, he wouldn't know about this news. Chapter 4364. After Lin Fei figured out the situation, he immediately erased the consciousness of the ice goddess and turned her into a pure energy body. Lin Fei had many tricks up his sleeves. A mere soul body was nothing to him. He sent the energy body into the girl's body. The girl gradually fell asleep. Lin Fei returned to the reincarnation pool. The remaining reincarnation pool was also a good thing. It was a great supplement for the tree of life and could increase its growth. Lin Fei opened his mouth and sucked in all the liquid like a whale sucking in water. In less than a few breaths of time, the reincarnation pool became empty. After that, Lin Fei slammed his palm on the reincarnation pool. A loud rumbling sound echoed out. After a loud rumble, the entire reincarnation pool turned into ruins. Even the palace was affected. With a wave of his hand, Lin Fei, including Ancestor 1000 Moths and the rest, flew out. Not long after they came out, the entire 1000 Origin Palace turned into a pile of rubble with a crash. At the same time, it lost the protection of the formation. After a long time, this place really became a snowy mountain peak. Lin Fei smiled and led everyone down the 1,000-origin snow mountain. The harvest this time was not small. At the very least, the tree of life had gained some nourishment. After descending, Zhao Chan thanked Lin Fei profusely and left with the girl. Lin Fei did not say anything. He had fulfilled his promise to the girl and helped her chase away the second soul in her body. At this moment, the girl was his true self. After settling this matter, Lin Fei did not stay idle. His priority now was to get the Supreme Sky Token. In the soul of the Ice Goddess, he saw many memories. He knew what good stuff was hidden in the Kunlun mystic realm. Therefore, it was urgent. Lin Fei still had to recover his strength. The most efficient way was to get the Supreme Sky Token. The four of you can't stay idle either. Go and snatch the Heavenly Connection Token back for me. I don't care if it's 1 against 1 Ji-Zun or all four of you at once. I want to see the Heavenly Connection Token in the shortest time possible. With Ancestral Founder 1,000 Moths and these 4 fighters, Lin Fei couldn't waste them. He had to make use of them and snatch back the sky-piercing token as quickly as possible. As long as he could snatch the remaining 9 Skylink medallions back and let the Divine Tree of Life absorb them, his strength would rise by a large margin. Then, he would be able to face anything that came his way. Before knowing the secret, Lin Fei didn't think much of it, but after knowing it, he was still a little surprised. The background of the Kunlun mystic realm was truly not small. I'll wait for you inside. The area around the 1,000-origin Great Snow Mountain was very quiet. Therefore, Lin Fei did not plan to go anywhere else. He decided to let the Tree of Life absorb this nourishment first. As for the rest, it was just a small matter. Lin Fei believed that Ancestor 1,000 Moths and the others would be able to handle this matter well. After all, with so many of them, dealing with a Supreme was a piece of cake. If they couldn't even handle this small matter, then they were too useless. After they left, they did not plan to act alone. Instead, they planned to deal with a Supreme with 4 people. This way they had more assurance. The first power they went to deal with was a faction. They directly barged into this family and forced them to hand over the sky-piercing token. Of course, they were unhappy. Hence, they made a big move. In the end, it was still Ancestral Founder 1,000 Moths and the others who obtained a sky-piercing token. Towards these 4 people making a move, everyone was very shocked. Following the investigation, they realized that these few were all ancient existences. More importantly, for some reason, these 4 fellows actually started to snatch the sky-piercing token. In the eyes of outsiders, it might not be known yet. But in this top-notch circle, everyone knew that this sky-piercing token had fortuitous encounters. It was left behind by the Kunlun mystic realm's strongest sky-piercing sovereign. Ancestral Founder 1,000 Moths and the others did not plan to hide any traces. After all, if they wanted to snatch this sky-piercing token, they could only fight it out. Therefore, the news would naturally spread. Luckily, Ancestral Founder 1,000 Moths and the others were fast. After snatching 4 sky-piercing tokens in one go, they only met with resistance. This was something they had long expected. If there was no resistance, they could only watch helplessly as Ancestral Founder 1,000 Moths and the others continued to snatch the sky-piercing tokens. That situation would not be good. When they met, they would naturally fight it out. No one gained any advantage. But at the very least, Ancestral Founder 1,000 Moths and the others obtained 4 sky-piercing tokens and successfully retreated. The remaining 5 tokens were in the hands of the sovereigns. Ancestral Founder 1,000 Moths and the others also went to ambush the sovereigns. But this time, these sovereigns had learned their lesson. They actually gathered together, increasing the difficulty in an instant. After trying a few times, they had no choice but to retreat. They left for a month. And in this month's time, Lin Fei's strength increased by quite a bit again. Lord, we only managed to snatch back 4 sky-piercing tokens. Those people seemed to have long been prepared. We also underestimated their strength. Ancestral Founder Thousand Moths and the others returned. They brought back 4 sky-piercing tokens. Lin Fei did not expect Ancestral Founder Thousand Moths and the others to be able to bring back all of the sky-piercing tokens. If that was really the case, Ancestral Founder Thousand Moths and the others would not hide like this. With these 4 sky-piercing tokens, Lin Fei was already quite satisfied. At the very least, he did not look forward to it in vain. Although it did not reach the expected 5 or 6 tokens, 4 sky-piercing tokens was enough. With these 4 sky-piercing tokens, his strength would increase by a huge amount. At the very least, he would be able to break through to core formation great perfection. Don't look at how 4 sky-piercing tokens were a lot. Lin Fei's foundation was originally very solid, so his injuries recovered very slowly. Being able to increase his strength to core formation great perfection was already not bad. That ice goddess was only at core formation initial stage. Compared to Qian Yuanzi, she was undoubtedly a true core formation expert. Qian Mo, you guys really know how to run. To actually serve a young man, it was not in vain that we chased you all the way here. A few figures walked out from the snowstorm. Seeing these 4 people coming out, Ancestral Founder Thousand Moths' face sank. He looked at Lin Fei respectfully and said, "Lord, they are the remaining 4 experts of Kunlun's secret realm. Along the way they fought with us quite a few times. I didn't expect that they would really dare to chase up to us." Actually, when Ancestral Founder Thousand Moths came in, Lin Fei had already sensed the commotion. To have such a powerful aura, they should at least be on the same level as Ancestral Founder Thousand Moths and the others. Lin Fei looked at them indifferently. "You did well this time. You found me a few more fighters. This way, it will be easier for me to obtain the sky-piercing token." Chapter 4365. From the moment Ancestor Qian Mo and the others made their move, Lin Fei knew that someone would target them sooner or later. It all depended on whether or not those people took the bait. If they took the bait, he would be able to get a few free fighters. From the looks of it, it was quite effective. 4 experts came. The 4 of them were indeed experts. Their strength was similar to Ancestor Qian Mo's, and they might even be slightly stronger. When they heard this, their faces sunk. They didn't expect this young man to be so arrogant. He actually dared to ask them to be his fighters. No one had ever dared to speak to them like that. Even if there were, they would have turned into skeletons now. "I don't know what right a young man like you have to say such words. Since you dare to cause trouble in the Kunlun secret realm, you have to ask for our permission first." The leader snorted lightly. With a swoosh, Lin Fei directly released a giant storm. The storm was formed purely from sword intent. The 5 elements sword intent instantly enveloped their bodies, and thousands of attacks came crashing down. "You guys had better block this sword intent storm first. If you can't, it can only mean that you don't have the strength. Then, you can only be free fighters." The sword intent storm formed from the 5 elements sword intent was extremely strong. With just a single move, these experts were heavily injured. They had taken out all their defensive methods, but they still couldn't block the sword intent storm's assault. The sword intent continued to enter their bodies to wreak havoc. They couldn't block it at all. No matter how strong their physical bodies were, they would collapse under the endless attack. Lin Fei couldn't be bothered to speak any more nonsense with these people. He used the sword intent storm to suppress them. Anyway, even Ancestor Qian Mo and the others couldn't block it, much less them. Lin Fei successfully gained 4 more free fighters. At the same time, in the Kunlun secret realm, a mighty and domineering middle-aged man suddenly opened his eyes. It was a pair of spirited eyes, filled with boundless dominance. This person was one of the 6 Supremes, Supreme Xinghai. He was also the strongest one. At this moment, Supreme Xinghai suddenly stood up and returned to the secret room. A statue was enshrined in the secret chamber. The statue was made of mahogany, but there was no face on the mahogany. It was a faceless wooden statue, but it gave off an unfathomable aura. Autarch Xinghai half knelt. He spat out a mouthful of blood essence onto the wooden sculpture. In an instant, the wooden sculpture released a red light and an illusory figure descended from the sky. This figure was very illusory, no different from an ethereal being. It was as if it would vanish with a light touch. Xinghai. Master, what can I do for you? Autarch Xinghai was extremely excited. It had been a long time since he had activated this statue. This was left behind by his master. As long as he sensed something, he would be able to activate the statue. However, the number of times he could activate it wasn't many. Now there were only 2 more times left. Autarch Seawalker remembered that the last time he had activated it was 130 years ago. By now, he had already become the #1 expert of the Kunlun secret realm. He wanted to stabilize his position as the #1 supreme being. Your senior sister, the ice goddess, is dead. The 1000 UNZ puppet I left on the 1000 Origin Snow Mountain has also been destroyed. His voice was neither soft nor heavy, but it was filled with boundless rage. Autarch Xinghai's forehead was covered with cold sweat. Master, I really didn't know about this. If nothing unexpected happens, someone should have come down. Your only mission right now is to protect this item. There's less than a month before it truly comes out. You have to protect it during this period of time. Autarch Xinghai's gaze turned extremely resolute. Don't worry, Master. I'll definitely protect this item. It won't be that easy for them to enter. I'll send someone else down as soon as possible. When the time comes, you'll be able to assist him. So long as that item emerges, you'll be able to leave the Kunlun secret realm. When that happens, I'll officially accept you as my disciple. Autarch Xinghai's face was filled with excitement. Even if I have to throw caution to the wind, I'll still be able to protect it. The exchange didn't last long. The illusory figure vanished like a wisp of smoke, instantly disappearing. Autarch Xinghai rose to his feet once more. I've waited for so many years. To think that someone would still come and cause trouble at a time like this. Don't blame me, Autarch Xinghai, for being impolite. In the past, Autarch Xinghai wasn't the strongest autarch. In fact, he himself was only a Xiantian. But because of a stroke of fortune, his strength skyrocketed, and he eventually became the strongest of the 6 autarchs. He'd been guarding this treasure mountain for 380 years now. He was just about to achieve success, but someone had come down. This was something Autarch Xinghai would never allow. He didn't care who it was. Anyone who dared to covet this item would be his enemy. He wouldn't let them off lightly. Autarch Xinghai was constantly thinking about leaving the Kunlun secret realm. If he continued to train here, he would never be able to break through again. And he only had a month left. If he performed well this time, nobody would be able to stop him from leaving the Kunlun secret realm. Autarch Xinghai walked out of the secret room. He arrived at the palace. He rang the sacred bell. From today onwards, the mountain will be sealed for a month. Autarch Xinghai's voice rang out within the palace. At the same time, send someone to the 1000 Origin Great Snow Mountain to understand the situation. I want to know what exactly is going on as soon as possible. On the other side, Lin Fei wasn't idling around either. He already knew the cause and effect of this, because there was actually a natural treasure in the Kunlun secret realm. Autarch Xinghai was the one guarding this natural treasure. That was why he was so strong and had the primordial spirit technique. 1 master and 1 clone. Based on the current time, Lin Fei had to increase his strength first. Fortunately, the 4 Heaven Ascension tokens had been absorbed by the Tree of Life. His strength had increased tremendously once again. Lin Fei had easily stepped into the Jedon realm in one go with the help of the recovery ability of these 4 travel tokens. He was slightly tempted by the natural treasure as well. However, the information he received didn't mention what this natural treasure was. As long as it was a natural treasure, it wouldn't be too far off. As for the remaining few Heaven Ascension tokens, Lin Fei decided to personally ask for them. It would be good for everyone if he handed them over politely. Otherwise, Lin Fei would have no choice but to be ruthless. In this Kunlun's secret realm, he was only interested in the Heaven Ascension tokens and the natural treasure. As for the others, he wasn't interested in them at all. 6 days later. Lord, those few Supremes should be on this mountain. Ancestor Thousand Moths had already come back after asking around. That was because Lin Fei was lucky. Those Supremes were actually together. Clearly, it was also because of Primogenitor Qian Mo's actions during this period of time that made them feel apprehensive. Thus, they grouped together to become even stronger. Bookseller's website. Chapter 4366. Lin Fei was most afraid that these Supremes would all go into hiding. Now that they were all gathered on Mount Six Directions, it was for the best. There was a Supreme on Mount Six Directions, called Sovereign Six Directions. And now, the remaining 5 Supremes were all here. These 5 Supremes were also the strongest force that could contend against Supremes Xinghai. It was precisely because these 5 autarchs had joined forces that Autarch Xinghai had been unable to fully control the power of these 5 autarchs. Right now, they seemed to be minding their own business. The only time they worked together was for the sake of entering the Divine Dragon mystical realm. They had all suffered a loss then. Now that they were gathered together, it was because Ancestor Qian Mo and the others had openly gone to fight for the sky-piercing token. The lower circles might not know, but there were only a few Supremes. Naturally, they knew about this. Thus, they could not help but work together. Who are you people? This is Mount Six Directions. Without permission, no one can enter. There were people guarding the path up the mountain, and they were not weak. Ancestor Qian Mo and the others waved their hands and repelled them. At this time, within the palace of Mount Six Directions, the 5 Supremes were sitting together drinking tea, but their minds were not on the tea. If it was any other time, they would have started discussing. Not long ago, they received a piece of news. It was regarding Sovereign Xinghai. He had actually sealed the mountain, forbidding anyone from entering. This news came out of nowhere, and they could not help but be shocked. Ever since Supremacy Xinghai became the #1 supremacy, there had never been such a thing as sealing off the sect. More or less, they all had spies under Autarch Xinghai's wing. But this time, they did not receive any news. This news came out of nowhere. The 5 Supremes could not help but feel anxious. Their greatest enemy was Sovereign Xinghai. As long as Sovereign Xinghai did not break through, there was nothing for them to be nervous about. However, if Supreme Xinghai were to make a breakthrough to that level, it would be the most unacceptable scene for them. At that time, the entire Kunlun secret realm would fall into the hands of Sovereign Xinghai. Even though the 5 Supremes were not weak. But if they really fought, they had no chance of winning. Outside, they would barely be able to fight to a draw. And this was under the condition that they couldn't kill their way into Supremacy Xinghai's sect. Otherwise, they wouldn't even have the chance to fight to a draw. Sovereign Xinghai was able to borrow the power of the sect's array formation, and his strength surpassed the combined strength of the 5 of them. Could it be that Xinghai is about to make his breakthrough, which is why he's sealing off the mountain? Still, this is a little too much of a disturbance. It doesn't seem like Autarch Xinghai's style, the short Autarch Skywalker said. I don't think it's possible either. He sealed the mountain for a breakthrough. He wouldn't be so brazen. Could it be that he's planning to play some tricks? No matter what, we can't take this matter lightly. Otherwise, we'll be in big trouble. It's best to test it out. After fighting for so many years, everyone understood Supreme Xinghai's style very well. The possibility of a breakthrough was very low. However, if he wasn't making a breakthrough, then what exactly was Exalt Xinghai doing? That was the thing that was bothering them the most. Sir, it's not good. Someone has broken in. A figure rushed in, gasping for breath. The 6 Unity Supremacy stood up, his expression darkening. Do you know who it is? The 6 Unity Supremacy was the youngest of the 5 Supremacies, having made his breakthrough 90 years ago. He was one of the more hot-tempered ones. After all, he was still lacking in terms of temperament and temperament. Upon hearing that someone had broken into Mount 6 Unity, he was in a bad mood. Long time no see, 6 Unity Supremacy. You 5 Supremacies have gathered quite well today. Before this person could say anything, a voice rang out from behind. The moment the 6 Unity Supremacy heard this voice, he subconsciously blurted out, "Progenitor Thousand Motes, it's you guys." Autarch Shanghai had sealed off the mountain, and Progenitor Thousand Motes had come looking for Mount 6 Unity. The expressions of the 5 Supremacies turned somewhat ugly. Before one wave had even subsided, another had arisen. Autarch Shanghai's side wasn't easy to deal with. Now, another Progenitor Thousand Motes had appeared. More importantly, this Progenitor Thousand Motes wasn't just one person, but several. They had already clashed last time, and were completely unable to capture Progenitor Thousand Motes and the others. They had no chance of winning at all. When they saw Progenitor Thousand Motes, their expressions darkened even more. This time there were actually even more people. There were a total of 8 of them. The auras of these 8 were all much stronger than theirs. At this moment, they knew that they were in deep trouble. There was even a young man in front of them. He was extremely young, and they didn't recognize him at all. However, it was precisely this young man that gave them a dangerous aura. Progenitor Thousand Motes and the others only had ordinary dangerous auras. Then, this young man had an extremely dangerous aura. It was a very subtle feeling. Since everyone is here, then things are simple. Hand over the Supreme Sky Token, and everyone can go their own ways. Nothing will happen. Progenitor Thousand Motes snorted coldly. If you don't hand it over, then the 8 of us will have to make a move and have a big fight. At that time, your Mount 6 Unity won't be able to hold on any longer. It might even be destroyed. The 5 Supremacies didn't understand at all why Progenitor Thousand Motes wanted the Supreme Sky Token. Although this Supreme Sky Token was not bad, it wasn't worth Progenitor Thousand Motes' attention. Could it be because of this young man? At this moment, they really didn't dare to make a move. Because once they did, there was no chance of victory at all. They might even be injured as well. This young man was just standing there casually, but he gave them a sense of deadly danger. Without a doubt, as long as this young man made a move, they would definitely die. This kind of thinking was very absurd, but it was this kind of thinking that constantly reminded them that they definitely couldn't make a move. You should have heard my subordinate's words. Hand over the Supreme Sky Token. You're good, I'm good, and everyone's good. Lin Fei laughed. Being able to trap all 5 supreme martial artists here at once was indeed the best thing that could happen. There was no need for Lin Fei to make a move personally. These 8 experts alone would be able to suppress these 5 Supremacies. Obtaining the Supreme Sky Token would also be a simple matter. The 5 Supremacies looked at each other. It was time to make a choice. Either they fought or they handed over the Supreme Sky Token. The former would suffer the greatest losses, while the latter basically wouldn't suffer any losses. Although they didn't have the Supreme Sky Token, to them, it was just a little slower in their cultivation. It wasn't much. But if the former were to be injured, then that would be the biggest problem. Friend, are you sure you only want the Supreme Sky Token and nothing else? The 6 Unity Supremacy asked. I'm only interested in this Supreme Sky Token. I really don't care about anything else. So, as long as you hand over the Supreme Sky Token, it'll be as if nothing happened.